Таджикистан. Сегодня пятница, 23 мая 2025 года. В Душанбе 19 часов, и мы начинаем шестое международное событие IBA Pro. Рольф. IBA Pro 6. Событие организовано промоутерской компанией IB Challenger и промоутерской компанией «Союз» при поддержке Федерации бокса Республики Таджикистан и проходит под эгидой Международной ассоциации бокса IBA, президент IBA Умар Назарович Кремлев. Уважаемые гости и зрители, нас ожидает 6 поединков. Боксеры из Казахстана, Камеруна, Кыргызской Республики, Люксембурга, Российской Федерации, Филиппин и Республики Таджикистан выйдут на этот ринг в поисках новых побед и титулов. Давлат Балтаев, Республика Таджикистан, против Сержа Амугу из Камеруна в бою за титул интерконтинентального чемпиона по версии IBA Pro. Нас ждет защита титула чемпиона Европы по версии IBA Pro. Действующий чемпион Майкл Кинг из Люксембурга и его соперник, претендент на титул из России Максим Черничук. И главное событие вечера – 10 чемпионских раундов за право обладания титулом WBA Gold. Непобежденный боксер Бахадур Усмонов против опытного Альберта Пагара с Филиппин. Но обо всем по порядку. И прежде чем начать титульные поединки, мы представим вам 3 конкурентных 6-раундовых боя. Судейство поединков осуществляют супервайзер IBA Pro Максим Чертыковцев, Молдова. Судьи и рефери Алишер Алтаев, Казахстан. Валерий Пастухов, Молдова. Баграт Авоян, Армения. И Мансур Мухиддинов, Республика Таджикистан. Врач у ринга Юнус Шарипов, судья-хронометрист Ниязиддин Мирбабаев. Уважаемые гости и зрители, располагайтесь удобно и добро пожаловать на международный вечер бокса «Рольф» IBA Pro 6. Мы открываем наш вечер поединком боксеров из Российской Федерации и Кыргызской Республики. В распоряжении соперников 6 трехминутных раундов. Бой пройдет в полусредней весовой категории. Это классика жанра. Дебют яркого олимпийского боксера против состоявшегося профессионала. Время пригласить соперников. Приветствуйте первым. В черный угол ринга выходит боксер из Кыргызской Республики. Встречайте, Фариозбек Хакимов.
Welcome everybody to Dushanbe and IBA Pro 6. That was the one and only Sergey Grom. He will be our MC for the night. I'm your commentator Andy Clark, and making his Fariozbek Kakimov, who will be taking on Evgeny Kool in this opening fight of a 6-fight card. We've got some good matchups. The top 2 fights, particularly Albert Pagara up against Bakadir Usmonov, and a rematch between Maxim Chernachuk and Michael King. But before that, we are seeing some good names, some fighters early in their pro career who've achieved a lot as amateurs. And first up, as I say, this is Fariozbek Kakimov, who will be taking on Evgeny Kool over 6 rounds.
Боксер золотого угла ринга прибыл боксировать из Златоглавой Москвы. Встречайте, Евгений Коль!
Evgeny Kool, born in Krasnodar, now boxing out of Moscow. I remember the first time I saw the championships back in 2021. It was a pretty young Russian team. He was a young man at the time, just 24 now. He won his first fight against a GB fighter and then went out to Viktor Petrov. He was an aggressive fighter. I haven't seen him since then too much, but boxing out of the southpaw stance, he was a little bit messy, but certainly looked to bring it. He boxed in this year's Great Silk Way tournament, had a good run there before losing to Nabi Iskandarov. and this is a professional debut for him, boxing out of that gold corner.
Уважаемые гости и зрители, я представляю вам соперников. Черный угол ринга за спиной боксера из Кыргызской республики. Ему 23 года, его рост 170 сантиметров, вес 66 килограммов 450 граммов. Перед вами чемпион Кыргызской республики и участник чемпионата Азии. В его профессиональном активе 5 поединков, 3 победы и 2 поражения. Из города Ош, Фарёзбек Хакимов. Его соперник в золотом углу ринга прибыл на бой из столицы России. Его рост 179 сантиметров, вес 66 килограммов 550 граммов. Ему 23 года и за его плечами солидная карьера на олимпийском ринге. Он двукратный чемпион и действующий обладатель Кубка России по боксу. В его ближайших планах завоевать место на пьедестале чемпионата мира, но... Несмотря на то, что спортивная карьера для него по-прежнему приоритет, сегодня он выходит, чтобы заявить о себе на профессиональном ринге. На свой дебютный бой прямиком из Москвы Евгений Коль. И с ударом гонга рефери поединка Алишер Алтаев, Казахстан.
Okay, guys. Head up, no low blow, no holding. Listen to my command, okay? Good luck.
Alisher Altayev, the referee, boxing out of the gold corner in those white and gold shorts, is Evgeny Kul up against Fariozbek Kakimov of Kyrgyzstan. 3 fights, 3 wins rather, 2 defeats so far for Kakimov. Difficult to take too much from that record because the opponents have been very limited in terms of their experience. He won his first 3. They were all at the Olympic Arena in Andijan in Uzbekistan. And then he's lost his last couple, both by majority decision. One in Grozny, one in Ekaterinburg. And you see Kul there set up in the southpaw stance. Good left hand there. Did seem to land. Something seemed to land. Kakimov went down. The referee was very quick to say no, knockdown. So it could maybe have been a tangle of feet. A left hand was thrown. It was difficult to see exactly how clean it might have got through, but the referee, right on the spot, was very swift in declaring no knockdown. And again, he ends up on his backside there, Kakimov, but once again, no knockdown. He did seem to be pushed over a little bit there by Kul, who physically is looking to try and get on top of him slightly here. Kakimov just moving in, trying to look for that right hand, but it does leave him in a little bit of a dangerous place because the reach advantage is with Evgeny Kul, but as I said at the start, he is aggressive. He doesn't really look to try and keep it on the outside, although he could. He likes to get more to that mid-range and let those hands go, but Kakimov is trying to get onto the front foot himself here, and Kul, if he's of a mind to, can catch him on the way in, I think. Trying to shoot that left hand straight down the middle off the back of the jab there, Evgeny Kul. They're scheduled for 6. Looking for a big expansive uppercut on the inside there. Kul didn't miss by all that much. Just before that, got through with a short right hook. And really, when he throws that lead hand most of the time, Kul, it's just to try and measure for his left. Every now and again he puts a little bit more heat on a jab, but not often. That was a decent jab there from Kul. Final few seconds of round 1, but you see him there, Kul. He just took his feet out slightly, set his feet, and looked to really land that left hand as his opponent came forward. There wasn't quite enough room for it in the end, but that's really what he's looking for. Well, that's a left-hand landing. I don't know if we'll get a look at the first time that he ended up on the canvas. Kakimov or not, the referee quickly signalled it was no knockdown, so I'd imagine that it's not been deemed worthy of a look. I'd be quite curious though to see exactly what happened. I think maybe the front feet clashed and then a left hand landed and he ended up getting half kind of pushed to the floor after a tangle of feet. He's just got to be careful, Kakimov, the way that he comes in, because he does look to creep forward with that front foot, but he stands up quite tall at times. He's got to keep that head on the move. He's just moving those shoulders, moving that head a little bit more now. If he comes in without too much in the way of upper body movement, then he could well have a problem, because Cool is keen to catch him with that left hand as he comes forward. Decent looking jab a few seconds ago there from Cool. Nice left hand there from the Russian. And then trying to throw that left hand into the body. Kakimov letting go with the left hand, but didn't really manage to land it. And these two just setting their feet a little bit more here now. And Cool will like this. Looks for that left hand, that uppercut up the middle. And I think he feels that he might have made a little bit of an impression there on Kakimov, because he was quickly after him. Landed a right hand there, Kakimov, and Cool this time is the one who's just giving a little bit of ground. I mentioned how having it at this close range is something that Cool is quite keen to do, but it's more of a fight that suits Kakimov as well, so I don't think he'll be having too many complaints about it. Evgeny Cool, as I mentioned, if he wanted to, could keep this on the outside and use that superior reach, but he's just not really interested in doing that. Which for Kakimov, although he may come off worse at close quarters, it does give him more of a chance. Into the final minute of round two. Good crowd in here. These IBA Pro nights so far this year have been well supported. And there's some home fighters on the card tonight as well. We've got one coming up in the next fight. Akmal Ubaidov, boxing out of right here in Dushanbe. Looking left hand there from Cool as Kakimov was on the way in and then caught him with another left hand. There goes the bell at the end of the second. And it's been a decent fight this so far. It's been quite a high pace right from the very, very start, and particularly in that second round. Towards the middle stages of it, the pair of them look to set their feet and let their hands go. I think the 4 rounds that we've got remaining here should be pretty entertaining. And you can see he's heaving the air in there in between rounds. Kakimov. And swell out just below that left eye. Short left hand there from Cool, and that's not a bad example. That's not the kind of punch that he's looked to throw loads. That's the right hand that got through there from Kakimov, followed by another right hand. And it was after that that Cool just backed off a little bit. He's looked for that uppercut with the left hand, trying to bring Kakimov onto it quite a few times. That short stabbing straighter left hand, he hasn't thrown as much, but probably is a more percentage shot, because as you saw with the second one there, the first one they showed hit him flush in the face. The second one caught him around about the neck. I think he's much more likely to land with it throwing that straightish left hand than he is with the uppercut. So into the third. And that's where he's looking for that uppercut, really, when Kakimov looks to come in full force. So Kakimov, again, just getting onto the front foot there, and he certainly felt that he landed something to give him encouragement. Finished off with a left hand to the body. You can see he's got good feet, Cool. He's a little bit up on his toes at times, which is more of an amateur style. Kakimov, you would say, is a bit more connected to the floor. Feet are a little bit slower. They certainly look a bit slower, but he just slides in rather than bounces in, which is what Cool tends to do at times. There's that left uppercut. Again, didn't quite land. You can understand why he's looking for it, but he's looking to try and step on Kakimov here. Let a good three-punch combination go there, Cool, and then wrestles his man back into the ropes. Physically, he is the stronger of the two. And when he's had the chance to try and demonstrate that, he has looked to take it. Just caught on the ropes there, Kakimov, but did a good job of keeping that head on the move. But again there, Cool just pushing him into the ropes. As we get into the second half of the fight, I think Kakimov will begin to really feel this physically. Cool trying to let his hands go. Final minute of round 3, and you just get the feeling that he's beginning to get to Kakimov here, Evgeny Cool, and that could well get worse for Kakimov as the fight wears on. Giving himself a little bit of room there, Cool, and then just pushing Kakimov off. The left hand into the body was a decent looking shot. Be interesting to see if Cool in the second half of the fight here can just click through the gears, because this is his IBA Pro debut, his professional debut. It's scheduled for 6 rounds. He's done 3 hundreds of times as an amateur, but that longer duration on fight night is something that will be new. But I would wager he'll have a decent amount of gas in the tank for the second half, and I would just like to see him just click up through those gears and try and see if he can force a stoppage here, because I do think it could be there. That was a good right hand, and then just pushes him off to find some space for himself, and he did well there actually, Kakimov, just to slide off to his right. But he landed some good shots in that third round, Evgeny Cool, and in the later stages, and again there off the back of the combination just shoves him through the ropes really. So Cool in the white, Kakimov in the black, into the 4th round of 6 scheduled. I want to say click through the gears. I don't mean that Cool needs to go absolutely crazy. He can start the round in a nice considered fashion like he is here, but as the round goes on, be good to see him just look to try and keep that pressure on, increase that pressure as he is there, because I think in the second half of the round, Kakimov will feel it. Again, just moves in behind that lead hand, behind the jab hand with that left, but shut down his own space a little bit. That was better in terms of the distance. As I said previously, he doesn't want to box on the outside, Cool, but he doesn't want to get too tight either, because he has to give himself enough room to land those punches at what you hear trainers sometimes describe as the biting point, the optimum biting point, and most people reckon that to be at about 80% of full arm extension. So there's that little bit of bend in the arm as they land. It's still got a bit further to travel, that glove, so you're punching through the target rather than just reaching the target. So he has to give himself enough space to try and achieve that. But you look at him just gather his feet and move across the ring into the second half of round 4 now. And Kakimov's done a pretty decent job in this round so far of staying out of trouble. Looks to try and rake off an uppercut on the ropes there. That's a good jab. He's used that lead hand more, Cool, actually, in this round than he has done in the previous 3. It's certainly something that could be developed into more of a weapon. Stabs to the body with it there. Brief interruption there. Couldn't see exactly what that was about. Maybe just a bit of trimming off of the tape around the wrist of the gloves, but it gave each one of them a little bit of time to rest before the final few seconds of round 4. There's that straight left hand. That one didn't quite manage to reach the target. But he used that lead hand more in the 4th than we've seen him do previously. He did keep it a little bit more on the outside, but then he'll always look to try and take it just that little bit closer. As I mentioned, this is the first time over the 6-round distance for him. He looks to me like he's got plenty left in the tank, but I think in that 4th round maybe he was just conserving energy slightly so that he can really go after his man in the final 2 rounds here, which, if that was indeed the case, then that shows a good bit of maturity, because even though they'll have boxed over more than the 3-round format on many occasions in the gym, it is different on the night. And Kakimov looking to try and be a bit more aggressive himself there. He doesn't want to give Evgeny Kool any kind of encouragement here. Just hooking off the back foot as he slides off to his left there. Kakimov left himself a bit open there. He came in quite tall. I mentioned that earlier in the fight, and he can tend to do that. He'll stand up straight. He'll drop those hands a bit. I wonder whether he's got a kickboxing background, because you look at the way that he does stand up straight. That can be the case sometimes. Well, we've had a knockdown there. Unfortunately, the cameras cut away to ringside as it was happening, but the referee with the count, he's up at the count of 8 and looking at the corner, and the referee, I think, has waved this one over. Indeed he has, so he does get the stoppage, Evgeny Kool. I'm sure we'll get another look at that, but he came out for the 5th looking full of energy after, I think, maybe just taking a round off slightly in the 4th round. And I think he probably felt that Kakimov didn't have too much left. And he ended up being put down there, Kakimov. Well, it's a left hand into the body. a body shot that really did it. And you could see as he moved in there, Cool, again, he almost just shut down his own space a bit too much. But Kakimov was moving forward and he landed that left hand below the rib cage. It was a solid shot. And you could see from the fighter's reaction, he just kind of looked at the corner. He didn't really look like a man who wanted to continue, and the fight was waved off. And that's a good performance from Evgeny Kool. He's going to be a good fighter to watch. As I said, when I very first saw him, he was pretty raw back at that World Championships in 2021, but he was aggressive. He wanted to fight. You could see that. And I think maybe the longer format of IBA Pro Boxing will suit him better than the 3-round format, because you've just got that bit longer to work your opponent over, to try and bring that pressure to bear. So we'll see him again before too long, I'm sure. But a good night for him.
Уважаемые гости, все произошло на ваших глазах. На первой минуте 10-й секунде 5-го раунда техническим нокаутом свою первую победу на профессиональном ринге одержал Евгений Kool. Мы поздравляем Евгения и благодарим его соперника, боксера из Кыргызской республики, это Парёзбек Хакимов.
And that was a good choice of opponent for Evgeny Kool as well, I think, on debut there, because Kakimov did look to bring it. He did look to be aggressive himself at times when he could. But I think from probably the 3rd round onwards, he was feeling the pressure, he was feeling the heat, and Kool got through with some good crunchy punches, body and head. And he was always just keeping that tempo high, keeping that pressure up. And it was interesting in that 4th to see him use that lead hand a bit more. I think if he can just develop that jab a bit more and do it any which way, if you like, that's what fighters are always looking to do, is looking to have that armory whereby there's a number of methods they can employ. But he looks to try and let that left hand go. There's a good looking jab there again. Catches a right hand there. He is going to get hit because of the style that he's got, but he is tall, he's got a good reach on him. Just develop that jab a little bit more, not use it quite so much as a rangefinder for that left hand, and then you can see when he gets in tight, he can be effective. So plenty to like about him. Next up we have got a home fighter, Akhmalubaidov, boxing out of right here in Dushanbe 5, and owes a professional one fight in IBA Pro, and a much decorated amateur. He's up against Yurjan Zalilov, Kazakhstan.
В 2022 году компания заняла 46-е место, эксперт 400 крупнейших компаний России 2022 года, 87-е место. Рольф признан лидером автомобильного ритейла страны. Уважаемые гости и зрители, мы продолжаем поединки Рольф IBA Pro 6 с 6 непростыми для соперников раундами в полулегкой весовой категории. Боксеры из Таджикистана и Казахстана настроены решительно. Уважаемые гости, вас и просить не нужно, мы встретим их как следует. Первым на ринг выходит боксер из города Кокшетау, Республики Казахстан. Qarşı alınızlar, Tikiley Kazakhstan'dan Yerjan Zalilov.
So here comes Yurjan Zalilov from Kazakhstan, now boxing out of Russia. He's quite well travelled actually. 13 wins, 4 defeats, 2 draws. Boxed in Russia, Spain, Kazakhstan and Latvia. And he's got what I would describe as a real record. He's won the Kazakhstan Super Bantamweight title, that was in December 2021. He's gone down the stretch with Yonat Baluta over 8 rounds. Didn't win that fight, but Baluta, a good pro, really good fighter. And in 2021 as well, a split draw with Vladimir Nikitin, who was a bronze medalist at the Rio Olympics. So in with a good level of opponents.
Золотой угол ринга. Добро пожаловать, боксер из Республики Таджикистан. Вохурет, Дастай, Таджикистан, Акмал Ubaydov.
Akmal Ubaydov, as you can see from the caption there, won the Asian Championships in Thailand last December. 5-0 as a pro. Turned pro actually back in 2021, so it's been relatively slow going since then. His last pro fight was back in October 2023 actually, a second round stoppage here in Dushanbe against Temur Ushakov. But boxing pro and amateur concurrently, it is always going to mean that that pro ledger takes a while to develop. This is his second time rather in IBA Pro. He had a win by split decision in
Сейчас я
February
обращаю ваше внимание в черный
last
угол
year.
ринга. Здесь, готовый к старту, титулованный казахстанский профессионал. Его рост 165 сантиметров, вес ровно в лимит весовой категории 57 килограммов и 200 граммов. Ему 32 года, и он успел испытать весь спектр боксерских эмоций. За карьеру он провел 19 непростых поединков, в их числе 13 побед, 7 из которых одержаны нокаутом, 4 поражения и 2 ничьи. Перед вами чемпион Казахстана среди профессионалов, чемпион СНГ и стран Балтии по версии WBC. Не снижая скорости, он по-прежнему заряжен брать новые высоты. Для настоящей ракеты и небо не предел. Из Казахстана, города Кокшетау, Ханымдар мен Мирзалар, Казахстаннан Ержан Залилов. В золотом углу ринга уверенно стоит его соперник. Чемпион Азии по боксу из Душанбе, Республики Таджикистан. Ему 24 года, его рост 170 сантиметров, вес, как и у соперника, 57 килограммов 200 граммов. На профессиональном ринге он провел 6 боев, одержал 6 побед, 5 из которых нокаутом. Даркунджи Зарин, Баджан Омода, Акмал Ubaydov. И с ударом гонга рефери этого поединка Баграт Авоян, Армения.
Head up, no holding, no low blow, listen to me. Good luck.
So Baydov in the white, Zalilov in the black. This is 6 rounds in the featherweight division. And a lot of home support, as you can hear, as he made his way to the ring for Ubaydov. And that's the tale of the tape. He's a younger man, Ubaydov, quite substantially, but there's a good amount of experience on Zalilov's side there. As I said, he's been in with some good fighters. He's produced some decent results. He's won that national title in Kazakhstan at super bantamweight. So he's certainly not going to be intimidated in any way by the task he has on his hands here. He's the away corner fighter and he understands what comes with that. He's been in that role a good few times. Both of these two orthodox fighters. A flashing left hand there, he didn't land, but you can hear the reaction he got from the crowd. Just dipped his knees there and then threw the right hand into the body. Ubaydov plants his feet quite wide, kind of hunches over, keeps that guard high. Those elbows do flare out. There's room to the body there for Zalilov. Zalilov looking to cover up himself there. You look at that guard that he's got, the elbows reaching down almost to the top of the belt line, so he just needs to drop those elbows in a little bit, and he's got that torso covered. Looks for a big smearing right hand over the top there. Doesn't quite manage to land it. But if he could get close, that's where he wants to go, I think, really. Down to the body there, Zalilov. And you look at the way that he's set up there, Ubaidov. And really, it's the fact that he leans onto that front foot a bit and does stoop forward and hunch over. That's what causes those elbows to come away from the body. Looks to try and get after Zalilov there, pushing him back towards the ropes. Just in and out with that front foot, but Zalilov not really falling for that, although he does try and climb into a lead left hook, which fell short by a good distance. Switching southpaw there, Ubaidov. Steps in and looks for the left hand into the body there, Ubaidov. And again, another big roar from the crowd. Zalilov was pinned in the corner to an extent there, but I don't think he was in any real trouble. And I think he feels he may have just had a little bit of success there, Zalilov. He landed a right hand and then was quite quick to try and get after Ubaidov, and then just throws a reverse 1-2 right at the end of the round. I think the second punch may be on the bell or slightly after it, hence the raised glove in apology. Decent finish to the round there from Zalilov. Ubaidov, up until that point, was stalking, looking to try and bring that heat if he could, but wasn't too much between him in that opening round. Ubaidov was a busier of the two, you would say. But he's got a good, compact, solid look to him there, and that's a good example. He's just able to drop that left hand in, that left elbow in, and protect himself against the body shot. He did it there with the right hand, having just pulled off with his chin just tucked in nicely behind his shoulder and stay out of the way. So Zalilov he's an accomplished fighter. You can see that he absolutely knows what he's doing, and towards the end of the round there, he just gave a bit more back offensively as well. Good right hand there from Zalilov, followed up by a lead left there too. They were just kind of standing right in front of each other, waiting for each other. And it was Zalilov who came off best. Ubaidov there just trying to set his feet and work the body. He's got long old arms on him, Ubaidov. You can see that. He really has got some levers, and it'll be good to see him just use that a little bit more. He's trying to just step his way onto the inside and let go with those hooks to the body, to the head. We haven't seen too many uppercuts yet, but I'm sure we will. But you look at the length of his arms there, when he almost lets them drop down by his side. They're practically down to his knees, the tips of his gloves. But you don't really see him jab, especially. He threw a jab there, but he's looking to move in behind the jabs, and again turns southpaw. This is where he wants to be, because he feels like he can dig his toes in and really do damage with those hooks in particular. Physically, he's got some real tools for Ubaidov, because you look at the width of that back there, he is strong. And he's looking to try and just get on top of Zalilov a bit here. He's got to keep that shape. Left hand into the body there with a good shot from Ubaidov. And again, I think that second one was maybe caught by the elbow. I don't think the first one was. Zalilov has got to be able to hit Ubaidov hard enough to keep him off him, basically, because if Ubaidov feels that he doesn't have any respect for what's coming back at him, then this is going to get difficult for Zalilov. And again, he dips his knees and looks to really hurl that right hand into the body. Counter right hand there from Abidov. Zalilov, I think, just managed to take the sting off it, but he's had a good round here so far, the home fighter. He is pretty uncomplicated. He keeps that guard in place and just looks to walk you down. And when he gets in range, he'll really work. As he is here, steps wide with the front foot and then lets that right hand go. And that's where he wants it, Ubadov, absolutely there. Just gets his man back to the ropes. And you see the biting point, as I was talking about earlier. That's where you want it on those punches. That's almost perfect, really. About that 80% extension. He managed to take the sting off that right hand well, Zalilov. But it took him by surprise a little bit, I think, the fact that he shot that one straight down the middle, because he doesn't do that very often. And much like the fight we've just seen, 2 rounds in, and this is tough for Zalilov. As I mentioned, though, he is a well-drilled fighter. He absolutely knows what he's doing. He's got some shape and some discipline to him. But if Ubadov can just continue to bring this heat, then I think there is a stoppage there for him. He's physically very strong. Looking to throw that jab there, Zalilov. And as I said, he has got to be able to put a little bit of doubt in the mind here of Abidov as he's moving forward. He's got to give him something to think about, something to respect, because otherwise he's just going to look to walk through him. And that's better from Zalilov. He knows it. He knows exactly what's going on here. He can't just tuck up and look to try and get through the rest of the fight that way. He's got to fight in bursts at times and look to land what he can. Slightly wild there, Abidov. Again, just in and out with that front foot. Zalilov doing a good job here, midway stage of round 3, not been caught with too much in this round so far. And just working that lead left hand. There's not that much on it, but he's throwing it enough to give Abidov something to think about. Then just dropped his hide and went with the right hand into the body, as again he did there. He stayed off those ropes for the most part. Left hand there from Abidov. This isn't where he wants to be here, but that was a decent counter right hand. Off the back of a left to the body from Abidov into the final minute of round 3. Goes southpaw again here, Abidov. Has looked pretty effective out of either stance. Clubbing left hand there from Abidov, and then there's that not quite straight right hand, but straighter right hand, which just caught Zalilov as he was looking to try and pull back out of range. Again, those are the eye-catching punches that have been landed during the course of the round, but Zalilov hasn't taken too much in round 3. Manages to get himself off the ropes back into the centre of the ring there. Left into the body there from Abidov. Got caught by a couple there from Zalilov, who negotiated that final exchange of the round pretty well. So halfway through this one, scheduled for 6. Again, it's A good fight to watch. We've got a man in the ascendancy boxing out of the gold corner. That's him, the home fighter, Akhmadou Baidov, Asian champion. The title he picked up at the end of last year, undefeated as a professional and in IBA Pro. There's that left hand to the body, which he's defended himself against pretty well for the most part. And the right hand there from Baidov, as I said, it's not quite straight, but it's straighter than almost everything else that he throws.
10 секунд. Секунданты зарезаны. Четвертый раунд.
I think the referee wants a bit of moisture wiped up from the canvas in the corner of the ring there, but just signalling to the officials bench, and we get underway in the second half of the fight, the beginning of round 4, and immediately just piled in with the 1-2 there, Baidov. He steps in behind the right uppercut, which I think landed probably to the body, or maybe into the forearms. He's holding the centre of the ring here. Zalilov, not looking to try and retreat. Left hand into the body from Zalilov is decent. Good left uppercut there from Zalilov. And I like this from him because he's choosing to stay within punching range here, choosing to stay in the pocket. I think feeling like close is a little bit safer for him. What he can't do is get caught on the end of those long hooks, and he got caught by a couple there. But he's backing himself up close here. There's that long right hand again. It almost caught him. See what his thinking is, because when you look at Baidov, you feel like for Zalilov, he either needs to be all the way out or all the way in. He can't get caught in that mid-range, that mid-distance. Right hand there from him, gets him off the ropes and looks for the uppercut. And so far in this round, this is working for him, because this is giving Baidov something to really think about here. And he looks for that big winging overhand right again there. He's not been able to get the range that he needs in this round so far, Baidov. Good jab there from Zalilov too. He needs that middle range where he can just rein in those hooks. Too tight, and the length of those levers works against him. That's cheeky, the left hand there from Baidov. I think the call to break there or to stop boxing had been given by the referee. And he caught Zalilov with a left hand, and he's just having a conversation with him now. And if he makes the judgment that that was late, then he should give him some time to recover here, and Zalilov should take it. He should absolutely take it. Fighters don't often. You could tell that it did register with him, because the dangerous thing about getting caught by a punch late like that is if the referee is given the instruction to stop boxing and you stop boxing, then you relax. And then you get hit with something and you're not braced for it. And you can see there he's not braced for it, Zalilov. And the referee there, I think, should take a point here. He should take a point here, because that was careless. And quite simply against the rules. He can be given up to 5 minutes to recover here, Zalilov. I think the referee would have decided that this was an unintentional late blow, so an accidental foul, if you like, much like a low blow. And in that scenario, you can be given 5 minutes to recover. If he doesn't feel at the end of 5 minutes like he's in any fit condition to continue Zalilov, then the referee has got a decision to make. Ultimately, he will have to decide whether he feels that he believes Zalilov or not. And if he decides that he does believe him and that that late punch has taken too much away from him, then it will be a win by disqualification for Zalilov. But very, very rarely do you see fighters either go down that route, looking to win by that route when maybe they could continue, or in a condition at the end of that 5 minutes where they genuinely can't. But he's taking his time here, Zalilov, which he is absolutely entitled to do, because that was a late punch. There's just no question about it. It was a late punch, you can see there. I couldn't really tell, I couldn't really hear how direct the instruction from the referee was. And again there, he's done something that I've seen referees do a bit in recent times I really don't like. He's kind of pulled at a glove there, the referee. Now, either you give the instruction to stop boxing or you don't. There's no need to interfere in any other way. It's either break, stop boxing, or it isn't. Pulling at gloves helps nobody. And he's just having a discussion with the officials at ringside here. Zalilov, again, you can see that he was hurt by that punch because it was late. And as I say, the really dangerous thing about it is that if you hear the instruction, the order to stop, and you stop, then you relax. And that means that if you do get hit and get hit clean, then it's going to have a proper impact because, as I described it, those brace mechanisms that you employ during the course of a fight to soak up a punch. You see a punch coming, you brace yourself, you're ready for it, you soak it up. That's the problem. Some boos coming from the crowd here, but they need to understand what has happened here. And Zalilov just talking to his own corner. And they will quite simply be telling him, listen, if you don't feel like you're okay to continue here, then we can't continue. They're giving him a little drink. He was working the jaw a touch, which makes me wonder slightly whether there could be some damage there. But he is going to continue. He is going to continue. But quite right that he took all of that time. Quite right that he took all of that time. And the referee is taking the point. And I think this is a satisfactory conclusion to that episode. Because it was a late punch. There's no question about that. And the referee is just going to take the 1 point. He could have taken 2. That's the maximum you can take. If you take 2, then you are essentially saying that it was a serious, deliberate late blow. Serious foul play, if you like. He was having a decent round there, Zalilov, as well. The big shots really had probably still come from Ubaidov, but I thought he boxed a clever fight in that 4th round because he took it up close. He was brave, actually. But we'll have to wait and see how much that late blow was taken away from him, because you could see when it landed, the reaction he gave, that it did register. It had a serious impact. Still just shaking his head a little bit there, still working that jaw. So into the 5th. Left hand into the body there from Abidov. And Abidov really looking to try and get on top of Zalilov here. Zalilov, though, again, just managing to avoid getting hit with anything too heavy, then looks to try and come back with a counter right hand of his own. Maybe feeling that the heads came together on the inside there, Zalilov, and this is getting quite torrid for him as we enter the second half of round 5. Just trying to measure the uppercut there, Abidov. Maybe just a bit too deliberate with it. And I think possibly that lengthy delay has just knocked him slightly out of his rhythm as well. 1-2 there, just went mainly into the gloves. Closing stages of round 5. 1 to go after this. Good right hand there from Zalilov. And he just hasn't managed to find that distance in the last round or so, Abidov. And you have to give Zalilov credit for that, because you could see him there as he's pushing it back towards the ropes. He's letting his hands go, but he's too close. But there's Zalilov again, just doing a good job of staying out of the way of most of that artillery there from Abidov. So the 6th and final round coming up. And Abidov will be in front here, never mind the point deduction. Zalilov's played a good part in this fight, and he's landed some decent shots, but the volume and the real aggression has come from Abidov, and if he could just settle a little bit, then I think he could get something done in the 6th and final round. He was trying to force things a bit too much in that 5th. That is kind of his style. He gets onto the front foot, he lets his hands go, but any fighter, whatever their style, if they're that little bit too tight and they're, as I say, just trying to force things a bit too much, then it won't work. He maybe just needs to slow things down a touch. Left hand into the body there from Abidov was decent, as was the 1-2, and this is better. He's found a better range right from the start of round 6. Good left hand into the southpaw stance, set that right foot wide and just ploughed it into the stomach, and he's looking to really just club away at Zalilov here. Trying to move his head, trying to get off those ropes, but it's a tough job for him. He's doing pretty well though there, just bobbing and weaving off the ropes. That's good defence from the Kazakh fighter. And again there, not a lot is landing. Right hand over the top there from Zalilov into the final minute of the fight. Zalilov just gathering himself there. You could almost see, I think, for just this last effort here. But he's given good value. And Abidov at times has looked like what he is, which is a swashbuckling, marauding, entertaining kind of a fighter. He's not going to be in dull fights, Akmal Abidov, that's for sure. But he's not going to get the stoppage here. Crunching right hand lands right on the bell. A touch of gloves between the two. And a big ovation from the crowd. And now we just await the decision as they cut those gloves off. A second fight in IBA Pro, as I mentioned, for Abidov. Won his first in February last year by split decision over the 6 rounds on that occasion. And these cards are always well matched. You do have the formula of home fighter and away fighter, as we had in this one, but in Zalilov they recruited somebody who, if Abidov hadn't have been on his game tonight, then he could have found more than a handful. And that's what you want. You always want somebody in the nominal away corner, if you like, who, according to the script, isn't really expected to win. You want them to have enough about them to be able to really push the prospect. And as I say, do more than that. If it turns out they're not quite on their game, there has to be jeopardy attached to every fight that you see, otherwise there really isn't too much point. What level of jeopardy is to be determined by managers and promoters and trainers at times, but there has to be a level, even on your way up, even in the early stages. You look to taper that level up as you move through towards the bigger prizes, but there's always got to be something at stake. There's always got to be that whiff of danger, or you just won't get the performance levels that you're looking for, and the whole exercise, as I say, becomes a little bit futile. So Sergey pretty much ready, I think, with the announcement.
Ваши аплодисменты соперников. Это Акмал Убайдов и Иржан Залилов. Это был хороший бой. Но Хорибай Хупбуд. Этот поединок продлился всю отведенную дистанцию. И по его завершении единогласным решением судей свою 7-ю кряду профессиональную победу одержал боксер из Республики Таджикистан Акмал Убайдов.
So Abidov with the win by unanimous decision, but he'll have learnt plenty in there tonight. I think Zalilov pushed him, and they have to make sure that he doesn't land any punches after the instruction to stop boxing like he did in that 5th round, because that was almost a big problem for him. That was almost a big problem. It was a point deduction, but it could have been more. But as I said, he's a good fighter to watch. He's got plenty of support. He's not going to be in dull fights. He's the kind of guy you can get behind. in the second round, I think he did do some damage, Abidov, and I was thinking if he could click through the gears in the second half of the fight, he might be able to overwhelm Zalilov. But Zalilov in the second half did box well. He stayed in the pocket, he backed himself up close, and he made it difficult for Abidov, as I said, really to find that distance. The interruption in the fifth, although not good for Zalilov, because there's a late blow. You can see the way his legs give way there and he goes down into the ropes. He did feel that because it's a strong shot and he wasn't ready for it. Although that didn't help him, the delay I think maybe just knocked Abidov out of his stride slightly.
От всей команды IBA Pro хочется сказать спасибо руководству республики, города и каждому жителю республики Таджикистан.
But that's 6 good rounds.
За теплую встречу, за прекрасный чистый город, за гостеприимство, за улыбающиеся лица, полные семей с детьми, улыбающихся детей, зеленых чинаров, чистейшей воды, новых зданий, древней культуры. Все это в самое сердце каждого из гостей. Спасибо вам большое. Ташакур зьет башумо. Уважаемые гости и зрители, наш следующий бой пройдет в супертяжелом весе. Скоро мы увидим 6 бескомпромиссных раундов. Опытный и опасный россиянин, вдвое старше своего амбициозного противника из Республики Узбекистан. Скоро я вам их представлю, ну а пока прошу их приветствовать. В черный угол ринга добро пожаловать! Боксер из города Андижана, Республики Узбекистан, Кутхилаболин, Узбекистандан, Халимджон Мамасолиев.
So a 6-rounder at cruiserweight coming next, and this is Kalimjon Mamasoliev. And he has got quite the resume, 2024 Asian Youth Champion and World Youth Champion as well. 2-0 as a professional, just 18 years old. Won by second round knockout last September. And then in December, another win after his opponent retired after 3 rounds. So looking forward to seeing him, a really young fighter, full of promise it would appear. This is first fight in IBA Pro.
В золотой угол ринга выходит боксер из России. Встречайте, Мурат Khalidov!
And he's up against Murad Khalidov, 10 fights and 10 wins, 5 of them coming by knockout. But it's a strange old record because he made his debut back in 2008 and he had his first 9 fights. They were all completed by 2010. Fight number 10 was in 2014 and he hasn't boxed since. He was last in action in February 2014 in Chelyabinsk. So this is a comeback after a long absence. But he's in that home corner, he's in that gold corner. So this is an interesting match.
Итак, пришло время представить вам соперников. В черном углу ринга восходящая звезда бокса из Республики Узбекистан. Рост боксера 187 сантиметров. Вес 94 килограмма 300 граммов. Ему 18 лет и он. Чемпион Узбекистана, чемпион Азии и, наконец, чемпион мира среди молодежи. Теперь он готов заявить о себе и среди взрослых. Первые 2 боя на профессиональном ринге принесли ему 2 победы. И сегодня он прибыл за своей 3-й. Из города Андижана, Азиз Мехмонлар, Андижон угланы, Халимджон Мамасолиев. В золотом углу ринга с тяжелым ударом и тяжелым взглядом. Его опытный соперник из России. Ему 36 лет, и он видел многое. Его рост 188 сантиметров, вес 107 килограммов и 300 граммов. В его карьере несколько этапов. Он заявил о себе на олимпийском ринге в далеком 2007-м, а затем вернулся в бокс на профессиональный ринг. Его рекорд говорит сам за себя. 10 боев и 10 побед, ровно половина из которых одержана нокаутом. Быть первым – это его образ жизни. Его называют чемпион. И дело не только в титулах. Готовый к бою из России Мурат Халидов! Рефери этого поединка Валерий Пастухов, Молдова.
So final checks for these two, and then they'll be summoned to the middle of the ring. And as I said, this really is an interesting fight because Khalidov hasn't been in a pro ring for a really long time. He's 36 years old. He's literally twice the age of his opponent here. And you look at the weights there. Mamasuliev, as a professional, you'd imagine will be boxing probably as a cruiserweight, down at 94.3 kilos. He's not too far away from that limit, or maybe he'll look to grow into heavyweight, whereas Khalidov here has got 13 kilos on him, so very much in that heavyweight division, although he is carrying some spare, you can see that. So what are we going to get here? Khalidov in the white, Mamasuliev in the black. 6 rounds this is scheduled for. Looking for the jab there. Khalidov. And you can see the difference between the two of them. He's quite lean. He's quite willowy almost, isn't he? Mamasuliev. At 18, there will be plenty of weight to go on as he develops his man strength, as we describe it. Khalidov has absolutely got that. So what will be fascinating here to see will be whether Mamasuliev is capable of taking what a 36-year-old grown man is able to give him. There was a good left hand to the body there from Mamasuliev a few seconds ago. So Khalidov is without a doubt more seasoned, but he's had that very lengthy layoff. Mamasuliev at 18 years old will be fitter. But is he able to physically soak up what is going to be sent his way? Good use of the left hand there from Mamasuliev. Went down to the body and then just up top, but nothing amazing about it in terms of the power. Right hand and then just steps off to his right. There's that left into the body again from Mamasuliev. That's worked well for him so far. They're right in front of each other, these two. They've not had to go looking for each other right from the beginning of the fight. Final 10 seconds of round one. Looking for the left hook there, Mamasuliev. Didn't quite manage to land it. Just a gesture there from Khalidov. I'm not absolutely sure what that was about, but a good finish to the round there from Mamasuliev. Just with a combination, pretty much right on the belt. Landed a couple. round. Nobody landed anything particularly solid in that opening round. Both of them at times found the target, but didn't really punch through it. They were within or on the borderline of punching range the entire time, but nothing particularly weighty landed. Not easy to pick a winner in that opening round. Again, just swapping lead hands there. Khalidov with a left hand, which just clipped the chin there of Mamasuliev. I think the pair of them have just got their feet a little bit closer in this second round so far, which bodes well. And there's a little short up jab that gets through from Khalidov. Mamasuliev, you can see on his face there, just really putting some effort in, setting those feet and looking to let his hands go. And this is different this second round. In the first round, the punches were reaching. As I said, they were touching, but they didn't have too much weight on them. This round already, the pair of them are just getting through with more heat. That's good from Khalidov. A decoy left hand, and then just dips his knee slightly and punches hard to the body. Then there's a right uppercut from Khalidov as well. This kind of fight, you would imagine, would suit him more with the weight advantage that he's got. He can maybe just get on top of Mamasuliev a little bit more. Mamasuliev, if he's going to win, he's going to have to really register with Khalidov. He's going to have to hit him hard and hurt him a little bit, because he's just creeping in with that front foot there, Khalidov. Three-punch combination there from Khalidov, and then just kind of pushes his man off. Left to the body. Final stages of round two. Left hand landed there from Khalidov. It's been a good round this. Mamasuliev has worked hard in this round. I'd say that the slightly heavier artillery has probably come from Khalidov, but again, there's not a lot in it, because Mamasuliev looking to try and finish strong there. He knows that he's got to punch with some conviction here, because the way he's chosen to go about this fight is a fight that you would imagine will suit Khalidov probably slightly more of the two. I wonder if at any point he will look to try and back off and use that jab a bit more and see if he can work on the outside, because I think he's probably got that in his arsenal more than Khalidov has. There's that right hand, the kind of decoy left hand, throwaway left hand almost, and then bang, right hand in round the back of the elbow. I just think this kind of fight is going to suit Khalidov more. That was a good eye-catching punch from him, that right uppercut.
Третий раунд.
into the third. Decent left hand there from Halidov. Looking for that uppercut on the inside. Let's go with the left there, Halidov. Doesn't quite get through with it. Mamousaliev, again in this round, still punching plenty, but the weightiest shots are coming from Halidov, who just sets his feet and lets that right hand go. The final punch for a three-punch combination did seem to get him around the back of the guard. It's not that Mamousaliev isn't having any success here, because he is at times, but it's just not seemingly having as much of an impact as the success that his opponent is having. And that's not because Mamousaliev is looking hurt or as if he's about to unravel. It's just the punches, the look of them. They look more solid. He's looking for that body at times, Mamousaliev. Just tries to really sit down on that straight right hand. Good left hand there from Mamousaliev. Working hard here, midway through round 3. And this is good from him. He's just managing to move Halidov back a little bit here. As I said at the start, the aerobic fitness, if you like, should be with him. Good uppercut there from Mamousaliev. Right hand gets through as well, and he's worked really, really hard in the second and third minutes of this round. And this is what he has to do. He has to keep that tempo high, because the naturally more heavy-handed fighter, as I've been saying, is Halidov. I don't think there's any real doubt about that. And if he's allowed to box at his pace, then he will win the fight. He will win the fight. But what Mamousaliev did really well, particularly in the second half of that round, was just lift that tempo, keep it high. And that's what he has to do. He's got to keep it there. Keep it at a level that Halidov is uncomfortable with. Because if they settle into a kind of you go, I go, which was how it was really in the first couple of rounds, then it's going to be difficult for Mamousaliev. He cannot allow Halidov to box at his pace. That's an example of what I was talking about. He wasn't hurt by either of those, Mamousaliev, but you just see as they land, they've got that kind of shuddery effect on them, the punches. And judges at ringside notice that. So into the second half of the fight, Halidov, the 36-year-old in the white, 10-0, but hasn't had a fight before tonight for just over 10 years. In the black, we have Mamousaliev, 18 years old, a rising star, continental and world youth champion, 2-0. So the question here, really, that'll be very interesting to see the answer to is who will hold up better in the second half, because Halidov has got more experience, but at the same time he's been out of the ring for such a long time. Mamousaliev, inexperienced at anything other than the 3-round format. Does, however, have youth on his side. And he, as I was saying, he's got to keep that pace high. He's got to keep that tempo high. Because that's what will make things uncomfortable for Halidov. That right hand again there. Mamasuliev looking to try and just arc it over the top slightly. Halidov just trying to inject a little bit more urgency into his own boxing, just gathering those feet, trying to cover off the movement of Mamasuliev as we head into the final minute of round 4. The Russian Halidov just indicating to the referee there, I think that the heads might have clashed on the inside. It's a tight round, this. Heavy-ish looking right hand there from Halidov, but Mamasuliev comes back with a 1-2. So a couple to go here. That's Murad Halidov boxing out of that gold corner. And there's not a lot to choose between these two. Heading into the final couple of rounds, I say that this one is very much up for grabs.
Секунданты за ринг. Пятый раунд.
Halidov just taking a little bit too long there to get off. He'd managed to manoeuvre his man back towards the ropes and he was within punching distance and he just didn't really let anything go. He does there, and you can see, as I've been saying, that when those punches land, even if they're half blocked, they do have an impact. That's a nice little jab there from Halidov as well. But when he gets his man into the right position, then he's just got to let those punches go here, Halidov. Mamasuliev will look to try and turn him as much as he can. And try and keep busy. Just a little double jab there, but it's a tap with the jab really, then the right hand. And nothing that Mamasuliev is throwing here is really bothering Halidov, but it's keeping him busy, it's occupying him. So when he finds that bit of room, that bit of time where Mamasuliev isn't really doing anything, that's where he's got to try and capitalise, just like here. He's just trying to back off here, Mamasuliev, and just nick a rest there for 3 or 4 seconds. And that's why Halidov can really get something done, you feel. Good left hand there from Halidov. into the final minute of round 5 here, and this has been another good match. I do like fights where when you look at the form book, it's almost impossible to take any kind of a line from it at all, and this has definitely been one of those because of the lengthy absence from the ring of Halidov before tonight's fight. Just made to back off there, Mamasuliev, and I think he's just beginning to feel the pace a bit here, possibly. A slightly tired look about some of the shots that he's throwing. He's punching really to keep Halidov off him, and Halidov, with 20 seconds to go in round 5, if he can step on him here, I think could make a little bit of a dent. Mamasuliev, though, to give him credit, make sure that he's firing back with something. I don't think he's got a massive amount left here, the 18-year-old, if I'm brutally honest. It's a question really, does Halidov have enough to try and turn the screw? But that's a good straight right hand there from Mamasuliev right at the end of the round. This is tough for him, you can see that. It is tough. They've got the ice on the cheek. Q-tip up the nose there. He's got 3 more minutes remaining here, and it's close this. It is a close fight. I would say personally that Halidov has probably got his nose in front, but it's down to the judges at ringside. Halidov, as I've been saying, is the heavier-handed of the two. But Mamasuliev has kept the tempo high as much as he could for as long as he could in this fight. Has worked hard, has let plenty go. Has got through with some decent shots. None of them have really bothered Halidov. Of the two, I would have to say that Halidov has done more damage to Mamasuliev than the other way around. And Halidov, at the start of the final round, comes out southpaw, just giving his opponent a different look. Good straight left hand there from Halidov. But it's been a good fight this, whichever way it goes, and a good fight for both of them at these stages of their career. Halidov needed something on a big card, which is what he's got, and he got through with a good strong looking right uppercut there a few seconds ago. Mamasuliev, at the stage he's at 2-0 at 18, to take a fight like this as well, again, just shows some ambition. It shows some courage as well. That's a decent combination there from Halidov, and he's got the look of a man who feels like he can make an impression, I think, in this 6th and final round, and I do make him right. The punches that Mamasuliev are throwing now are really designed just to keep his opponent off him more than try to hurt him. I think it's fair to say that. There's that left hand on the inside from Halidov. Goes down to the body with the left hand as well. Still working very hard here, Mamasuliev. Good uppercut there from Halidov, who after a long time out, I think, has found his range and his rhythm increasingly as the fight has gone on. Heading into the final minute. Good distance there from Halidov as well, but decent defence from Mamasuliev, who had that left glove in place. But he hasn't got too much left now, I don't think, the teenager, which is completely understandable. It's been a good fight. As I said, at the end of the first round, they've stood within punching range for the entire 18 minutes, really. Particularly from the start of the second round. They were maybe on the borderline in the first 3 minutes. They were finding the target, but not really punching through it. And then they both got their feet just that little bit closer. And since then, this is pretty much what we've got. So that's 10 seconds. Well, there goes the bell. Good fight. Good fight. And he spreads those gloves wide there at the end of the fight, Mamasaliev. I think he'll be thankful that the final bell has come. They both worked hard in that fight, and there were close rounds. It wasn't necessarily an easy fight to score. Mamasaliev threw plenty. I don't think anything that he threw really had too much of an effect on Khalidov. Khalidov, I think, drew more of a reaction from Mamasaliev with the heavier hands and the weight that he had behind them. That would be my reading of it. So just waiting for these two to be called to the centre by the referee. Our MC is in position, ready with the announcement. But whichever way this does go, this was a good fight to take for Mamasaliev. I give him credit for taking it at 18 against somebody much older, more experienced. Yes, he'd been out for a long time, Khalidov, but you can see that he's a good fighter.
Наградите их аплодисментами на этом ринге Мурат Халилов из России и Халимджон Мамасалиев из Республики Узбекистан. Этот непростой бой продлился всю отведенную дистанцию, и по его завершении единогласным решением судей свою 11-ю к ряду победу одержал Мурат Халимов.
So Khalidov gets it by unanimous decision, and that's the way I would have gone with it. Mamasaliev looked a bit disappointed at the announcement there. He put plenty into that fight, but it was just the heavier hands, the more authoritative punching of the heavier man. Let's not forget that. He had 13 kilos there on Mamasaliev, which is a significant amount, and that's 2 stone plus. And Mamasaliev will learn an awful lot from that. And for Khalidov, after a long time out, it must feel great to come back with a win. And I wouldn't mind seeing that again. Mamasaliev might be of a mind to see if they can run that one back. But as I said, he'll need to make up his mind what weight is he really going to box at, because he came in at 94 kilos there. You'd imagine that he probably could get down to the cruiserweight limit rather than box at heavyweight. That's not something that Khalidov could do, I don't think, having weighed in at 107. So there's a decision to be made there for Mamasaliev. But even though that's a loss on his record, it's not going to have done him any harm at all. It's going to have done him good, in fact. Next up, we have another home fighter, Davlat Boltaev. He boxed at the Paris Olympics. Unfortunately for him, early on in that competition, ran into the eventual gold medal winner in Lazizbek Mulajonov. He's an Asian Games champion as well, as a senior and at under 22 level. He's up against Zachary Serge Umvogo Amugu of Cameroon, making his pro debut. And that's for the IBA Pro Intercontinental Cruiserweight title over 8 rounds.
Уважаемые гости и зрители, мы продолжаем международный вечер бокса роль в IBA Pro 6. Чемпион Азии против чемпиона Африки в бою за вакантный титул интерконтинентального чемпиона в супертяжелом весе по версии IBA Pro. В распоряжении соперников претендентов из Республики Таджикистан и Республики Камерун 8 раундов. И они не оставят вас равнодушными. Ladies and gentlemen, we continue the International Rolf IBA Pro 6 boxing night. Asia's champion versus Africa's champion, battling for the vacant IBA Pro Intercontinental Super Heavyweight Championship titles. These warriors from Republic of Tajikistan and Republic of Cameroon have 8 explosive rounds to prove their dominance. Встречайте первым. Претендент на титул из Африки, Республики Камерун, coming to the ring first and representing the Republic of Cameroon, Serge Amugu.
So here comes Amugu, boxing out of Cameroon. All African Games gold medalist, as you can see there. Went to the African qualifier for Paris 2024, but didn't manage to make it through to the Olympics. This is a pro debut for him and a really good opportunity on the big stage to show people what he is all about.
В золотой угол ринга. Добро пожаловать, боксер из сердца Азии, Республики Таджикистан. Please welcome the contender from the Republic of Tajikistan, as Dili Asio, as Tajikistan, Davlat Boltayev.
Davlat Boltayev, a big star in Tajikistan, a bronze medalist at the Paris Olympics. As I said, he ran into Lazizbek Muladjolov in the semi-finals, who went on to eventually win gold. The 2023 Asian Games champion, Asian Under-22 champ the year before that. 4 fights and 4 wins as a professional. He made his IBA Pro debut last April, a split decision win over 6 in Kazakhstan, and then drew in March in Moscow against Ramazan Kamukayev.
И я представляю вам официальных лиц титульного боя. Introducing you the officials. Президент Международной ассоциации бокса IBA, the President of the International Boxing Association Umar Kремлев. Промоутер, генеральный директор IBA Pro. Promoter, CEO of IBA Pro Al Siesta. Supervisor IBA Pro. Supervisor for the IBA Pro Максим Чертыковцев, Молдова. Боковые судьи, ringside judges, Баграт Аваян, Армения, Алишер Алтаев, Казахстан, Валерий Пастухов, Молдова. Хронометрист, timekeeper, Ниязеддин Мирбабаев, врач у ринга Юнус Шарипов. И с ударом гонга, рефери титульного поединка, referee of the title bout, Мансур Мухиддинов, Таджикистан. Уважаемые гости, я представляю вам соперников. Черный угол ринга. За спиной боксера с африканского континента. Ему 31 год. Его рост 187 сантиметров, вес 99,9 килограмма и ни одного лишнего грамма. Он чемпион панафриканских игр и более ни одного лишнего слова. Его называют монстр из Республики Камерун, города Яунде. In the black corner, the African Colossus, 31 years of pure power, standing 187 centimeters tall and weighing in at sculpted 99.9 kilograms. The All-African Games champion who lets his fist do the talking. From Yaoundé, Cameroon, they call him the monster, Serge Amugu. В золотом углу ринга боксер из Республики Таджикистан. Ему 26 лет. Его рост 188 сантиметров, вес 109 килограммов 450 граммов. На олимпийском ринге он становился чемпионом Азии среди молодежи, чемпионом азиатских игр и бронзовым призером Олимпийских игр в Париже. В профессионалах провел 4 боя, одержал 4 победы, 2 из которых нокаутом, из города Душанбе. In the golden corner, Tajikistan's Olympic juggernaut. At just 26 years old, this 188 centimeters tall, 100.945 powerhouse boasts an amateur resume that speaks volumes. Asian Youth Champion, Asian Games gold medalist, and Olympic bronze medalist from Paris. Since turning pro, he has a perfect record of 4-0, with 2 knockouts that left opponents staring at the lights. From the fighting capital of Central Asia, Dushanbe's finest, Davlat Tajik Boltayev. И с ударом гонга, ответственный за происходящее в ринге, referee of the title bout Mansur Muhyiddinov, Tajikistan.
No low blow. Head up and listen to my command. Shake hands.
IBA President Umar Kremlev taking his place at ringside for this heavyweight clash between Davlat Boltayev and Serge Amugu. Both of them given a big build-up there by Sergey, and correctly so. Boltayev with that bronze medal at the Paris Olympics. That was in the heavyweight division, not super heavyweight, so he's put on a good amount of weight since then, deciding as a professional to be boxing in that biggest division. And you look at the shape on Serge Mugu there. He's not quite as heavy, but he was described as a sculpted 99.9 kilos, which is exactly what he is. This is his professional debut. The IBA Intercontinental Heavyweight title on the line here. Boltayev in the white, Amugu in the black. To launch that long right hand there. Amugu just sends it sailing through like a javelin, trying to hook off the back foot there as Boltayev just creeping in with that front foot, looks to stick the jab and then pulls his weight all the way onto the back foot and manages to avoid that right hand. And again there, as a pro heavyweight, he's put on 3 stone plus since his days of boxing in the amateur heavyweight division. Boltayev, which is a serious amount of weight. He's got good quick hands, you can see there. Good rhythm to him, he's nice and loose. Again, just making Amugu fall short with that right hand, and then steps in and lets his own left hand go. Did well to evade that combination there from Amugu. Closing stages of round 1. He's looking for that long right hand, Amugu. The advantage that Boltaev has got is that his hands are that little bit quicker. When he gets onto the inside and he gets inside that long reach of Amugu's, then he's got the ability to work those hands nice and quick.
Seconds out. И это второй раунд. Round 2.
That's what he's looking to do. We saw it in the first round. Working in behind that jab, that lead left hand. He doubled up on it there and then looks for that long right. Boltaev can see that coming, and what he'll look to do when he does see it, but what he's done so far is pull his weight all the way onto the back foot and just allow it to fall short. Just tuck his chin in behind his shoulder like he did there to avoid that long left hook from Amugu, who's throwing plenty here but not much is landing. Boltaev, I think, is still just having a little bit of a look, and when he gets nice and close there, he looks to just let his hands go. He's not letting them go with any massive weight at the moment, but that doesn't really matter too much. Then just sets his feet and looks to sink a couple in there. A cuffing right hand there for Boltaev, then goes down to the body. And again, that's good upper body movement from Boltaev. Amugu is hitting thin air a lot of the time. A right hand landed there, and Amugu, I think, was hurt. Followed up by the left, and then the right lands as well. And the referee, has he stopped the fight here, or has he judged that the ropes have kept Amugu up and given him the count for that reason? I think that is what he's decided. I'm not sure they did, to be honest. But there was a punch that started this. It was that one there, and then he comes in with the right hand. And the gum shield comes out. He was stunned by a shot, I think maybe a few seconds before that even. And I think he's been counted. He hasn't been counted out here, Amugu. As we went to the replays there, they need to get that gum shield replaced. But he's in no fit condition to continue here, Amugu, I don't think. Boltaev just needs to land something clean here, and this fight is going to be over. It was an interesting piece of refereeing in any case. He stepped in and gave him the count when I think really he probably should have stepped in and stopped the fight at that point, because he appeared to give him a standing 8, and standing 8s don't exist. What I think the referee would say, were he to be asked, was that he decided the ropes had kept Amugu up. I don't think I necessarily agree with that, but that's the call that he made. And Boltaev is on the verge here, and it's those nice quick chopping hands on the inside that did the damage. And he doesn't want to let him off the hook here, Boltaev, because Amugu is ready to go here. He is absolutely ready to go. And he needs to finish him. Well, the gum shield has come out again here. He's not spitting this out deliberately. He just can't keep it in because he's scrambled. He is scrambled here, Amugu. If he could get through to the end of this round, he'll have done really, really well. And that's where it came out. He just needs to be accurate here, Boltaev. Right hand lands, Amugu again just staggered, backing up. Right hand lands again, he's half turned his back, the left hand lands, and the referee should stop this fight. He's counting referee here, but he just needs to stop the fight. Amugu is absolutely all over the place. He's going to get counted out, surely. He's back on his feet. There's only a handful of seconds remaining in the round, but he's in no fit condition to continue here, the Cameroonian. He really isn't. And the corner should have stopped this, because this is only going to go one way. The gum shield has come out again, and they're going to get that rinsed off and replaced, and they've got a few seconds remaining before the end of the round. And okay, then he will get the minute in between to recover. But he's got no chance here, Amugu, absolutely none. And I think the fight now has been stopped. I think the fight has been stopped, and Boltaev has got a good win there. He's got lovely quick hands on the inside. And when you just vary up that weight of shot, that's when you can really do some damage. And that's what happened when you got him going. He was nice and close. He landed a punch that didn't really look like much, but you could see immediately that it registered. Then he followed it up with a couple, and he was banging trouble from that point on, Amugu, and the referee deciding to count him the first time is kind of academic now. As I said, I think he did it because he felt that the ropes kept him up, or he could justify a count because the ropes had kept him up. And you see referees do that sometimes. He didn't necessarily want to stop it right at that point, so he gave the count, and it was only really from that point on a matter of time. And I'm glad to see Sergio Mugu on his feet there and finishing this fight without getting badly knocked out, because that was a real possibility there as he regained his feet after that second knockdown, and it looked for a while there like the fight might continue. Even if there's only a few seconds left at the end of the round, then that could still be far, far too long. But that's a good performance from Boltaev, it really is, against a fighter who came in sensational shape, an All-African Games gold medalist. And they've got something here, Tajikistan. They've got somebody who they can really pin some hopes and dreams on, I think. He's a big, big name already because of that Olympic Games bronze medal.
IBA, President of the International Boxing Association, Mr. Umar Kremlev.
And the IBA president, I think, just making his way up into the ring here, Umar Kremlev, to present Boltaev with the title, the IBA Pro Intercontinental Heavyweight title. And Amugu just making his way to the centre under his own steam, which is always great to see.
Уважаемые гости и зрители, все произошло на ваших глазах. На второй минуте второго раунда Мансур Мухиддинов остановил поединок техническим нокаутом. Свою пятую кряду и третью досрочную победу в карьере одержал Давлат Тоджик Болтаев. Одержал победу и стал новым интерконтинентальным чемпионом в супертяжелом весе по версии IBA Pro. Ladies and gentlemen, on the second minute of a second round, referee stopped the contest. The winner and new super heavyweight intercontinental IBA Pro champion, Davlat Toджик Boltaev. Его соперник выглядел по-настоящему угрожающим, и благодарим его за смелость. Это Серж Амугу из Республики Камерун. Merci beaucoup. Давлат, несколько слов для зала, который с радостью и восхищением смотрел за твоей победой.
Народ Таджикистана, бачо, салам алейкум!
That's the punch that Amugu was looking for, that long right hand. Didn't quite manage to land it. And that was the left hand, I think, in the second round that really got things going for Boltaev. Lovely overhand right there too.
Мирзалиев Комил, президент Федерации бокса. Как наша федерация поменялась за 2 года, вот такие результаты с поддержкой федерации, а также нашему президенту, лидеру Эмомали Рахмону, нашему лидеру, спасибо большое за то, что у нас в стране есть такие возможности. Щербачой Нари Тоджик, Пахат Бапеш! А я забыл своему тренеру Бабаджану Али, спасибо, сказал, он шаг куда-то ушел, а также передаю Али с Центра прогресса бокса, где я проходил свою крайнюю подготовку. Большое спасибо от души всем.
На радость трибунам и зрителям, триумфатор этого поединка и новый интерконтинентальный чемпион IBA Pro в супертяжелом весе Тавлад Болтаев.
And that was the left hand that really started it all off for that first knockdown that was called. And the referee there, as the gum shield comes out, I think it was because the gum shield came out that he stepped in and then gave the count. It was a strange piece of referee, to be perfectly honest, because at that point, if you step in and stop it, then you're stopping the fight. Stopping the fight for a gum shield coming out at that point and then counting is strange. But he was on borrowed time from that point onwards. And when he gets hit by that left hand that he can't possibly see and goes down in the corner, at that point, the fight should have been waved over. But it did get stopped. It did get stopped without any further danger or damage to Amugu. But there's that left. It's a little bit like the punch that Deontay Wilder got hit with against Shilei Zhang, where he'd half turned his back, and as he turned around, he got caught. And as I was talking about earlier in the night, brace mechanisms are key in boxing, and there were none in effect there at all for Amugu when that punch landed, and it would have been good to see the referee just wave the fight off at that point. It's quite the sight, isn't it, when you see somebody of that size in that kind of supreme physical condition, and their limbs just will not obey them, they just won't cooperate. They've got incredible coordination almost all of the time, but in those moments when they get hit with a clean punch and that balance goes, it's kind of amazing, really, just to see how vulnerable they then look. So that's the night so far. We've got two more fights to come, two good fights as well. Michael King up against Maxim Chunichuk, and Bakadir Usmonov taking on Albert Pagara. Stoppage win for Evgeny Kool at welterweight. And decision wins in the other two fights.
Tajikistan! Yakavkovic samimi ba khotir in musabiqot. Man bobare kobe doram ke in musabiqot baroy shuma pisand dardid. Nabardi davlat ro shuma chiguna pezurib qilib. Mukhlisoni aziz, davlat ro chiguna tarafdori mekune. Olo dar injo Saadi barodari azizi ba. Man bobare doram ke baroy mukhlison yak nakhorai tojiki rafte ba 100 بزنه. ضربه های خود را برای مخلصان نشان بدهیم. بالاتر ساده رفتیم. دستگیری شما مخلصان. بالاتر حالا من در اینجا اکنون بعد از دو سفری که داشتیم حالا من از مخلصان پرسان بشوم. مخلصان عزیز، فقط با صدای تاجیکانه نبرد بهادر را چگونه انتظار هستید؟ برای بهادر نبرد شما دستید. باشد که صلح و ثبات در دیار عزیزی ما پایدار باشد. این همه با شرافت پیشوای معظم کشور است. به خاطر پیشوای معظم مخلصان عزیز، به خاطر جناب عالی یک کفکوبی تاجیکانه بزنه. همچنین بار دیگر اظهار سپاس برای شهرداری شهر دوشنبه، رئیس شهر دوشنبه محترم رستم امامعلی، کفکوبی‌های شما مخلصان به خاطر شما. اظهار سپاس برای رهبریت فدراسیون بوکسی جمهوری تاجیکستان در شخصیت کامل جان میرزا علی یک کمکمی با خاطر رهبری فدراسیون و همچنین بار دیگر جناب عمر کربلیاف رو یک کمکمی میزنه. Welcome to Tajikistan. باوری داریم بعد از چند لحظه که تنفس بشود ما دوباره با این رینگ برمیگردیم. ما را همراه باشید مخلصان عزیز. Are you ready؟ با هم باشید. من بفهمم مخلصانی عزیز که این اصلا انتظاری چگونه مشکل است ولی انتظاری هایی که شرط پیروزی بیارن مخلصانی عزیز هواداران و راقبان باکس در حالی که ما از باکس از ورزش میگوییم ما خدمت های بزرگی پیشوای معظم کشور را نمیتوانیم فراموش کنیم این صلح و ثبات صداقت و این دیار نازنین ما با زحمت های پیشوای معظم کشور ما به سطح جهانی برویم مخلصان عزیز راقبان و هواداران باکس همه شما را نظرتان را با اکرام میکنیم همین لحظه رای
منبرش از پرده مکتب منبرش از درزه دهقان چهرهش خلقی خلقی صورتش خلقی خلقی سفرهش خلقی خلقی رهبر از جوش مردم از دل و جان و جگرها با صدایش سخت عادت کرده همچو با زنگوله دولت همچو با زنگوله ملت همچو با زنگوله مکتب چون که در رویش روی ملت را هم می‌بینه چون که در رویش روی ملت را هم می‌بینه نور ملت را هم می‌بینه چون که از پیشانه پهنش همه خانه ما خطی تقدیر ملت شاهراهش چار جانب تخت انوار از دوشنبه تا بدخشان از دیار صبح تا ختمان در کف دستش همه تازند در کف دستش همه رانند موجی ماشین فوجی ماشین پایگاه دولتش را کرده کفشر بستکار نقبی انزا بستکار نقبی شرکت بستکار نقبی شهرستان بستکار چهارمغزک بستکار گزی روحان همچو آهن
مخلصان عزیز دست کنید شما با خاطر آغاز نبردهای امروز ولی در اینجا وقت کمی دیگر باقی بماند ما انتظار هستیم حالا برای دستگیری یک مشتر دیگر بریم با صدای بلند بگیم بهادر عثمانov مخلصان عزیز نبرد بهادر را انتظار باشد یک کم کبید صمیمی بی بهادر آغازی لحظه پس رقابت ها شروع میشوند دور نباشید با هم تماشا بکنیم و حلاوت ببریم
пришли сюда не с пустыми руками, а с хорошими новостями. Я думаю, что многие любители бокса знают, какая самая маленькая весовая категория. Я думаю, что знающие подскажут. Она называется минимум weight до 47 килограммов 600 граммов. Но не знаю, существует ли весовая категория ниже, наверное, стоило бы придумать. Мы уверены, что независимо от того, высокий ты или не очень, если у тебя есть спортивный дух, то всегда есть место показать талант и показать свой характер. В скором времени состоится особый поединок. Место, дату и время мы вам назовем в аккаунтах IBA Pro. Ну а пока нас ждет битва взглядов. Приветствуйте здесь двух соперников. Это Эра Ли, амбассадор IBA, родом из Республики Узбекистан. Эра Ли, добро пожаловать. И прошу приветствовать родной Алшахри Кулов из Куляба, родной. Добро пожаловать на ринг. В чем мы точно не сомневаемся, в том, что характера у вас хватит на кого угодно. Родной, Эра Ли, я прошу вас оказаться на середине и посмотреть друг другу в глаза. Ladies and gentlemen, the face-off of Эра Ли from Uzbekistan and родной Алшахри Кулов from the Republic of Tajikistan. Независимо от весовых категорий, главное – мастерство и характер. Эра Ли и родной. Этот поединок состоится, и IBA Pro обязательно вам об этом расскажет. Родной, Эра Ли, не уходите, несколько слов. Родной. Какие планы на бой? Когда начинается подготовка или уже занимаешься боксом вовсю? Ну что ж, понятно одно, что взаимное уважение присутствует, это, пожалуй, главное в спорте. Где состоится, мы расскажем, но пока давайте проводим аплодисментами. Эра Ли и родной. Ташакур Усмонов, спасибо большое. Тем временем остается все меньше времени до продолжения запланированных поединков нашего 6-го номерного турнира IBA Pro, Royal IBA Pro 6. Мы благодарим компанию «Воль». Это огромный, крутой, мощный автодилер. Существует у нас с 1991 года более 30 брендов. Европейских, корейских, американских, китайских автомобилей, доступны приобретению в сети более чем из 50 салонов. Москва и Санкт-Петербург – города, где «Воль» можно встретить очень и очень часто. Приобрести новый автомобиль или автомобиль с пробегом – всегда хорошее решение, и ответ это живет латинский букв. Роль. Роль, большое спасибо. Скоро мы вернемся и продолжим поединки. Уважаемые гости, уважаемые официальные лица и судьи, объявляется 5-минутная готовность. Менее 2 минут остается до начала главного и главного события сегодняшнего вечера. Это 2 10-раундовых боя, оба титульные и оба будут очень и очень интересными. Совсем скоро мы будем готовы начать в прямом эфире федерального российского спортивного телеканала Матч ТВ. Также нас можно будет увидеть на телеканале Варзиш, о нем вам рассказывать не нужно, канал знакомый здесь каждому. Менее минуты до начала. Добрый вечер. Добрый вечер в гостеприимной столице Республики Таджикистан. Мы тепло приветствуем аудиторию телеканала Матч ТВ на ринге Дворца водных видов спорта и тенниса в городе Душанбе. Совсем скоро мы представим вашему вниманию главное, а следом и главное событие нашего вечера, имя которому Рольф IBA Pro 6. Уважаемые гости и зрители, располагайтесь удобно, мы начинаем. Время пришло для главного события вечера. Майкл Кинг из Люксембурга выйдет на защиту титула чемпиона Европы в полусреднем весе по версии IBA Pro. Его соперник Максим Черничук. Дополнительную интригу создает то, что соперники уже встречались на ринге, и в прошлый раз победа осталась за Максимом Черничуком. Все или ничего в рамках 10 бескомпромиссных раундов бокса в прямом эфире телеканала Матч ТВ. It's now time for the co-main event of the evening. This is the title defense for the IBA Pro European Welterweight Championship. Reigning and defending champion Michael King from Luxembourg versus contender from the Russian Federation, Maxim Chernichuk. 10 uncompromising rounds are about to begin. We are live on Match TV, Boxing News, and IBA Boxing YouTube channels worldwide. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to welcome the boxers. Встречайте первым претендент на титул из России. Coming to the ring first, the challenger, straight out to Moscow, Russian Federation, Maxim Chernichuk.
And welcome back everybody to Dushanbe. This is IBA Pro 6 and this is a really interesting fight for the IBA Europe welterweight title between Maxim Chernichuk, who's making his way to the ring now, and Michael King. These two met in February over 8 rounds and it was Chernichuk who won that one by split decision. Tonight though they rematch for that IBA Pro title that King won against Vakid Abasov last November. I was ringside for that fight. It was an absolutely terrific performance. His pro record, Chernichuk, 8 wins and 1 draw. That draw coming in February last year against a 16-0 Sergey Lubkovic.
IBA Pro. Встречайте. And now, reigning and defending IBA Pro European welterweight champion from Luxembourg, Michael King.
He's a great boxing story, Michael King, from Kinshasa in the Democratic Republic of Congo. He came over to the UK actually in 2014 to join his family who'd already moved over, set himself up in Tottenham, started boxing in 2017 and gathered a pretty good record after a couple of defeats early on, both in the away corner. He then met Al Siesta, who's in the ring there tonight, CEO of IBA Pro, started managing him, got in some fights on some good cards. I saw him box in September 2023, a really good win against Kai Jimenez, followed that up with another good victory against Reese Woods, and then, as can happen in boxing, out of nowhere almost, his last 3 fights have come in Russia. There was the win in Samara against Abasov. He was in the away corner that night. It was a really good performance. A few weeks after that, he was in Ekaterinburg, where he drew over 8 rounds against Bobo Usman Baturov, who was a top amateur. Then in February, that first fight against Chernichuk. So a young man from the Democratic Republic of Congo, who then moved to London, who's now based in Luxembourg, seems to have found a real boxing home for himself in Russia and now Tajikistan, and I think with IBA Pro as well. So it's just such a good story, and this scheduled for 10 rounds, and that's the mascot he always makes his way to the ring with, that little monkey just wrapped around his neck, and it's a slow walk. taking his time. And the build-up between these two has been interesting this week as well. Pretty playful most of the time, but he does have this ability, King. I've seen it when I've seen him box in the UK, particularly in that fight back in 2023 against Jimenez. He has the ability to wind opponents up. I don't quite know what to make of him. Just Pritchard there in the corner. Part of Shane McGuigan's gym in East London, who trains the likes of Lee Cutler, lead trainer for Lee Cutler.
Introducing to you the officials of the title fight. Президент Международной ассоциации бокса IBA, President of the International Boxing Association, Mr. Umar Kremlев. Promoter, Генеральный директор IBA Pro. Promoter, CEO of IBA Pro Al Siesta. Supervisor IBA Pro. Supervisor for the IBA Pro Maxim Chertegovtsev, Moldova. Боковые судьи, ringside judges, Мансур Мухиддинов, Таджикистан, Баграт Аваян, Армения, Алишер Алтаев, Казахстан. Хронометрист, таймкипер, Ниязидин, Мир Бабаев, врач у ринга, Юнус Шарипов. Рефери титульного поединка, referee of the title bout, Валерий Пастухов, Молдова. И сейчас я представляю вам соперников. В черном углу ринга претендент на титул из России. Боксеру 23 года, его рост 180 сантиметров, вес 66,5 килограммов. В его активе 9 боев, 8 побед, одна из которых была одержана над сегодняшним соперником. И одна, добытая в тяжелом бою, ничья. Он прибыл из Москвы и намерен подтвердить свой предыдущий результат их личной встречи. А пояс чемпиона Европы станет для него первым титулом. In the black corner of the ring, the title challenger from Russia, a 23-year-old warrior standing 180 centimeters tall, weighing in at 66.5 kg. His records speak volumes: 9 fights, 8 victories, including 1 over tonight's opponent and 1 hard-fought draw. Hailing from Moscow, he's here to repeat his previous triumph in their personal rivalry. And the European Championship belt will be perfect addition to his legacy. Ladies and gentlemen, Maxim Черничук. Ровно по диагонали в золотом углу ринга действующий чемпион из Люксембурга. Ему 27 лет. Его рост 176 сантиметров, вес 66 килограммов 700 граммов. В его активе 10 непростых поединков, 6 побед, 4 из которых он одержал досрочно, 3 поражения и 1 ничья. Сегодня он намерен лично исправить результат предыдущей встречи. А пояс своим он считает по праву. Ladies and gentlemen, in the golden corner, standing proud and undefeated and in spirit, the reigning champion from Luxembourg. At 27 years old, he stands 176 centimeters tall, weighing in at sharp 66.7 kg. His battle-tested records: 10 fights, 6 victories, 4 of them by way of knockout, 3 defeats and a single draw. Tonight, he steps into the ring with a fire in his eyes, determined to rewrite the ending of their last encounter. The belt, he owns it. It is his by right. And surrender, that word doesn't even in his vocabulary. Ladies and gentlemen, Michael King. И с ударом гонга рефери титульного боя, referee in charge of the title bout, Валерий Пастухов, Moldova.
So here we go, this schedule for 10 rounds or fewer for that IBA Pro Europe welterweight title on the line. And as Sergey was saying there in the announcements, and as I was saying, this is a rematch. These two met in February. It was a split decision win over 8 rounds for Chernichuk on that occasion. But Michael King gets his opportunity here to rematch him. And he is in the home corner this time because he won that title last November on a night of upsets, actually. It was a really, really good night. He scored the win against Vakid Abbasov in Samara, but it was one of those nights where the right-hand side of the card really put in big performances. It was a well-matched card and thoroughly enjoyable. So King in the white, Chunichuk in the black. And the judging was good that night too, because there were some close fights, some which you wouldn't necessarily expect the away corner fighter to get. It's bad that we talk about things in those terms in boxing, but it's just the reality, and everybody got full value for their performances. Getting nice and low there, Chunichuk. King just trying to use that lead hand. Good jab there from Chunichuk though. Right hand there from King, just over the top slightly, then goes down to the body. And again there, he's looking to work that body with the right hand so far, just coming out of the crouch there. Chunichuk lands the jab midway through round one, and this has got going pretty quickly. The advice from the corner there for King is, I think, just to try and get those elbows up of Chunichuk's by going up to the head and then sink them into the body. I think maybe they feel that there is damage to be done there into the final minute of round one. Just looking to feint with that front foot there a couple of times, Chunichuk. He's not really getting any kind of a bite out of King, who carries that lead hand quite low, just looking to try and flick it up from the waist. Final few seconds of round one. There's that right to the body that he's landed a good few times in that opening round. You could hear the corner call for it as well. Maybe that's something they identified after that first fight. Getting nice and low there, King, so you can see he can not explode upwards exactly, but just get good power on it.
Round two.
Chunichuk's come out a bit busier at the start of the second round. Just trying to really lance with that jab, but again King just steps in and finds that right hand to the body. There is space in around the back of that left elbow. He's finding it regularly. At what point will Chunichuk really start to feel those? And again there he lands it. Looking for the uppercut there, King. Didn't quite land it. Chernychuk just leaning on. There's that right hand to the body again. He lands it every single time he throws it. Doubling up on the left hook there. Chernychuk, the referee, just having a quick word with King. I'm not quite sure what about. Chernychuk just trying to create a little bit of space for himself. Looking for that big overhand right, but doesn't land it. Chernychuk trying to work the body with the left hand. It's the final minute of round 2. Right hand lead there from King. I'm not sure how clean that landed. Both of these two have done plenty of work in this second round. Just chopping down with the right hand there, King. I think the referee might have given the instruction to break, and as a quick conversation anyway. Right hand there from King got through. They're both working hard here. Not a lot particularly solid or clean has got through in the round. Left hand into the body there from Chernychuk. Those right hands into the body towards the start of the round were landing from King. And there's a replay show, plenty thrown by both of them in that second round, as they both just picked up the pace a little bit. Chernychuk initiated that at the start of the round, you would say, but King absolutely went with him. They are well matched, these two. Good looking jab there from Chernychuk at the start of the round. He's got that high guard, just peeks out in between those two gloves, so he can see what's coming. That high guard sometimes can block a fighter's view. They can't really see what's coming in. He doesn't have too much peripheral vision with the guard set that way, but he can look down the middle of it. Clubbing right on the inside. There's that right to the body again there from King, but Chernychuk just beginning to put them together a little bit better now. Chopping down with that right. And then goes down to the body with the left, and then again with the right. This is physically a demanding fight if it continues like this. Right hand into the body again there from King. He has to keep the faith with that shot. When he throws it, he lands it. He has to believe that it will pay off the deeper we go into this. Landing the right hand there, King. That's good use of the left there again, though, from Chernachuk. But King just looking to get through with that right hand again and then pushes Chernachuk back, and I think feels like he got through with a couple there at least because he's letting his hands go a little bit, but Chernachuk is doing exactly the same thing heading into the final minutes of round 3. Just short with the uppercut there, Chernachuk, and then that scything right hand arcing over the top slightly, got through. King, though, doesn't seem too worried about Chernachuk's power. You could say maybe not quite the same the other way around. Just that passage we had about 30-40 seconds ago, I think maybe a couple of shots there from King did just cause Chernachuk to back up a little bit. Nice left hand on the inside there from King. And the highlights we're seeing here are mainly concentrating on the contribution to the round that Chernachuk made there, and he was nice and busy. But this is a close fight. This is a close fight. As was their first, as we head into round 4 here. There's that left to the body, and Chernachuk, as he moves in behind that jab, will look to throw that. He really gets good torque and rotation into it, puts everything into it. King with that right to the body himself, then just looking to get on top of Chernachuk a bit. I think what he knows, King, is that he's got to go with Chernachuk here in terms of work rate, because Chernachuk is one of those busy kinds of fighters. The last thing you want in a fight is to get out hustled, to get outworked. There's that right to the body again. He kind of throws a decoy almost with the left hand, dips his knees and then really rips it. He's not feeling them yet, Chernachuk, but there can always come a point in a fight where somebody's soaking it up and then all of a sudden they can't do it anymore. Right into the pit of the stomach there from King, who just looks to try and walk into the centre of the ring. The corner just encouraging King then not to let Chernachuk take some kind of a rest there. And Chernachuk just comes firing back, using that jab. Throws that right hand and then rolls away off the back of it, Chernachuk. There's that left to the body again. And the right hand, that short right hand over the top again there from Chernachuk. And there's a decent right hook from Chernachuk. He's landed a few good quality shots in the last 20-30 seconds, finishing the round strong here. Little step off to the right-hand side there from Chernichuk just to change the angle. And these rounds are absolutely crucial. These middle rounds, King has got to stay with Chernichuk. He's got to try and match him for work rate, for effort, or he could be in danger of slipping behind here. Josh Pritchard in the corner was a pro himself, got to 5-0 if memory serves, and then due to injury wasn't able to continue with his pro boxing career. There's that right hand from Chernichuk, and then finishes on a left there. He's got this busy style. He doesn't really stay still after he throws anything. He moves off those punches.
Seconds out. Пятый раунд. Round 5.
Referee just telling the pair of them to keep their heads up there. I think it's just one of those things. You look at the styles that the two of them have got, and Chernichuk in particular does tend to kind of stoop over a little bit as he moves in there. His weight can be quite heavily on that front foot, which brings his head over that front foot, so he looks like he's leading with the head a little bit of the time. But that's good movement on the inside there from him. Left hand on the inside there from King, I think got through, but he didn't draw any kind of reaction from Chernichuk. He just slides underneath that jab again, and King just trying to hold his ground here. That's a good left hand from Chernichuk. Rattled a couple into the body, and then you could see the chin move there as he went upstairs. King just trying to cover that movement off, but catches a right hand as he moves in. An uppercut lands there from Chernichuk as well. He turns around that front foot and then just spins off. He's finding a good groove here, the Russian fighter. A nice rhythm. Left into the body there from King. And continues to go downstairs. Good uppercut from Chernichuk, just thrown off the angle, just slightly in from the right hand side, found a gap for it. Into the final minute, and again this round has been like the previous one, and when you look at the fight as a whole, we'll be 15 minutes in at the end of this round, and Chernichuk has been the one with the greater volume. They both traded some good shots, particularly body shots, but Chernichuk has been the busier of the two, and that'll see him in front at the halfway stage, I would say. Turns southpaw here, King. There's that right hand to the body, not the one that we've seen him throw most often in the fight so far, but the bodywork is something that they've really invested in. And that uppercut, I think at the time I felt it landed a bit cleaner than it actually did. They've both thrown a lot of punches in this fight. Neither has yet to hurt the other just yet. Quite a lot have been half caught on forearms, on gloves. They've had a sting taken out of them slightly by the fighters, just riding the shot slightly. It's been a good fight to watch.
Seconds out.
Heading into the second half, you get the feeling that this is mostly about stamina and conditioning and the gas tanks, because neither's put a dent in the other yet. That doesn't mean it can't happen, but from where I'm sitting, King needs to make that dent if he's going to win that fight. He needs to slow Chernachuk down a bit by having that kind of impact. Chernachuk, I think, will be totally happy if things continue the way that they have been, because, as I said, I do think he's found a nice rhythm. King has come out aggressive at the start of round 6 here, which I think is a good thing, because the momentum was just starting to turn against him. And when that happens, you have to try and do something about it as quickly as you can. Looking for the left hand there, but plenty into that, King. The pace has been high in this fight, and it makes you wonder at what point is it going to tell on one of these two. It could tell on Chernachuk. He's the one who likes to keep busy, to let those hands go. Caught a couple of punches there from King. But he's been made to work hard all the way through this. It's not one of those fights where he's set the pace and everything has been at his pace, because King has had plenty to say. A couple more got through there from King, who stays on that front foot. Goes down to the body there, King. A couple of good stabbing shots. Heading into the final minute of round 6. And my eyes might be deceiving me here, but I just feel like Chernachuk is, for the first time almost, showing some signs of fatigue here. The high tempo and what King has managed to land on him could be starting to have a little bit of an effect here. Holds his feet and lets that right hand go. It's not that he isn't throwing still, it's not that he isn't landing, but everything seems to be more of an effort than it has been previously. Good body work there from King again. Closing seconds of round 6. Right hand into the body again there from King, and he's finished the round well here, particularly the last minute and a half. And this was a kind of round I think that he did need, because I felt at least that Chernachuk had built some momentum as we went to halfway, and that he was ahead in the fight. But that's a good round for King. He was in the second half of it, not all of a sudden exactly, but Chernachuk just began to look slightly different. Everything started to seem like more of an effort. What had previously been a nice groove and a rhythm became a bit more forced. Nice counter right hand there from King. So 4 rounds to go. I think this is going to be a very, very interesting finish to this fight. From my angle, I feel like Chernachuk could well be ahead here. Maybe 4-2 up. But King had a good round in that previous round. And he's looking to really stay on him here. You can see that. Goes down to the body again there, King. But quickly, he looks to cover off that movement. I think he's taken some big encouragement from that previous round. And confidence, momentum, having the wind in your sails at this stage of a fight is so, so important. Chernachuk, I feel like he probably needs to find a little bit of a second wind, and he may well do it. And the corner just telling King that Chernachuk is on the point of unravelling here. I don't think that's necessarily the case, but again, he's getting through to Chernachuk in this round, and it's happening earlier than it did in the previous round. Right hand there from Chernachuk was a decent shot though, but as I said, everything just seems to be more of an effort for him now. But that's not to say that he isn't landing some decent punches. It's at an absolutely critical stage, this fight. King feels he's got an advantage here, that he is in the ascendancy, and he has to make sure that he stays there. Chernachuk rattles away to King's body. Nice long right hand there from Chernachuk. That's good stuff from him. And then a left to the body. That's a good 20-30 seconds he's had there, Maxim Chernachuk. And the sixth was a good round for King. And the first half of this round was going his way too. But the second half of this round has been Chernachuk's. He's put in a good response here. Long right hand there from King, didn't quite land. Goes down there with the left to the body, then the right. Good right hand there from Chernachuk, who then just lost his balance slightly. There goes the bell, 3 to go. And again, not too much to pick in that round. It was kind of around the two halves, really. The first half belonging to King, the second half I felt belonging to Chernachuk. And there have been some close rounds in this fight. So into the eighth, they're scheduled for 10, the IBA Pro Europe welterweight title on the line. King is the holder. He won it against Vakir Abasov last November in a really good performance in Samara. And he's up here against Maxim Chernachuk, who beat him back in February by split decision over 8 rounds. So you can understand why people wanted to see it again, because they are well matched. Right hand got through there from King. Chernachuk was trying to ghost off to his left hand side. A right hand landed there though from Chernachuk. Always he's just inching forward with that front foot there, King. Chernichuk of the two is more flighty, there's more movement. He's more expansive in that sense, but that can tend to take it out of you. There's quite a lot of lateral movement too. It's a demanding way to fight. And the corner just telling King that he's waiting too long, and I make him right at this stage of the fight. I make the trainer Josh Pritchard right, because King needs to get on top of Chernichuk and stay there. That's when he's had success. It's an easy thing to say because that is physically demanding, obviously, to try and do that to your opponent. But Chernichuk, when you let him, he does find this kind of groove and rhythm where he just lets those hands go. He turns around that front foot. He can sink into that quite comfortably, and he's busy then, and it looks good. And even if not loads is getting through, then he has the look of the man who is on top. Good left hand there from Chernichuk, and then goes down to the body, and King needs a big finish to the round here. Frustrating there for King, just swinging and missing with that right and that left, and he hasn't quite been able to build on that real success that he had in the 6th. And at that stage, with 4 rounds remaining, you felt that maybe he could go on and dominate the remainder of the fight, which I think he has needed to. Still 2 rounds remaining here, of course, but it hasn't quite turned out that way. There's that long right hand from Chernichuk. Alcesta just leaning over the ropes there with some advice as well. Josh Pritchard, nice and measured in what he was saying there. I couldn't hear what he was saying, but you could see from the manner of him that he's just trying to get that advice on board to King. It's difficult for fighters to take it in between rounds, particularly this deep in a fight. This has been a physically demanding fight. The tempo, the pace has been high right from the start. But King needs a big finish here, I think. He certainly needs to win these last 2 rounds. The right uppercut there from Chernichuk. King really just setting his feet and looking to let his hands go here. So the pep talk in the corner I think has worked. No knockdown there. Signaled by the referee. It did look like a loss of balance, caused by a trip or something like that. And he's got to summon up everything he's got here, King. He started quick there, but he's just got to try and keep that pace, that work rate as high as he possibly can. Chernichuk just sinking into the ropes, pulling back and throwing that right hand, and again now just starts to let those hands go. It's impressive the fitness, the conditioning that he's shown in this fight, because it is pretty much constant, the way that he punches, the way that he lets his hands go. And he has found that second wind that I was talking about before. Sometimes it's about grinding your way back in, and that's what he's managed to do after what was a tricky 6th round, a point at which you felt like the momentum may well have shifted. A swing and a miss again there from King. been a busy spell for Michael King. This is a fourth fight, a fourth really good level fight in the last 7 months, which is what fighters want, of course, but boxing at the start of last November and then at the end of that month and then in February and then again tonight. Plenty of travelling involved too. It's part of the job, of course. I'm not looking to make excuses for him, but he needs something big here. And Chernachuk, again, is just fighting with a little bit of swagger, a little bit of a spring in his step. And everything seems that little bit easier now than it did a few rounds ago. That looseness, that relaxedness is back. So 10th and final round coming up. And there's that upper body movement that he's had right from the start, Chernachuk, pretty much. And I think that was where the feet maybe just came together because nothing landed there to cause him to take a trip to the canvas. So 3 minutes to go for both of these two.
Ladies and gentlemen, round 10, final round.
So King, the defending champion, in the white, Chernachuk in the black. It's been a good fight, this. But Chernachuk, for me, has got himself into the lead, and I think King probably needs a stoppage in this final round. Good right hand into the body there from King as Chernachuk had just thrown his own right hand. And that body work, particularly those right hands down to the body, in around the back of the left elbow of Chernachuk, haven't taken any real toll in this second half of the fight. He's neglected that punch a bit in the second half. King may be feeling that it just wasn't really working. There's that arcing right hand again from Chernachuk. Just sitting down on that right hand there, Chernachuk, looking to put some real gas on it. And again, he just rolls away underneath that right hand. Chernachuk, he's still just throwing the odd feint, dipping his knees, just dropping his height as he did there, exactly taking his head off the line. That guard is up in place. It's been a really good, disciplined all-round performance. Close in the early stages. I think he built up a lead by halfway. Then that 6th round made it look like this second half could get pretty torrid for him, but he managed to find an answer since then. So into the final minute, looking to let go of the big bomb, and then again just sits in his leg slightly and finds that combination to the body. King's corner telling him he's just got 30 seconds. He needs to do something pretty spectacular here. And it's certainly not for a lack of trying. King just letting his hands go, but Chernachuk has been slippery all night, and he continues to be just that. Touch of gloves between the two as the final bell goes. Good fight. Good fight, as we thought it would be. It was a good fight in February. It was a good fight tonight, this time over 10 rounds. Nice combination there from King. These two just working really, really hard right to the very end. And there wasn't really any kind of feeling out process in that fight. It was probably at its quietest maybe in that opening round, as is generally the case, but bundles and bundles of punches thrown by the pair of them.
Председатель комитета по делам молодежи и спорту Гулахмадзода Зулфикор и президент Международной ассоциации бокса IBA. Ladies and gentlemen, the president of the International Boxing Association IBA, Umar Nazarovich Kremlov.
So the belt to be presented as well, of course, that IBA Pro Europe welterweight title that Michael King brought into the ring. Okay, I think we're ready for the decision.
Это были непростые 10 раундов, и они остались позади. В этом поединке единогласным решением судей одержал победу и стал новым чемпионом Европы по версии IBA Pro Максим Черничук.
So Черничук gets it by unanimous decision. It was well deserved.
The winner by unanimous decision, and
he was a better fighter over the course of the
European
10 rounds. He got himself
IBA Pro
ahead at halfway, I felt. Then that
Maxim
6th round that went King's way, that suggested that we were in for a ding-dong in the final 4 rounds, and that maybe King could overhaul him, run him down as they got towards the tape. But Черничук managed to dig in, find an answer, find that groove again, worked terrifically hard all night long, and it was a well-deserved victory.
Но мы не забываем поблагодарить аплодисментами его соперника. Ladies and gentlemen, give a round of applause for the Michael King for this beautiful fight.
And just watching these highlights, you can see that the fight followed a very similar vein all of the way through. These two completely committed to it and gave us 10 rounds of terrific action. So one fight remaining tonight, another local fighter. Bakador Usmonov up against Albert Pagara of the Philippines. 10 rounds for the WBA Gold lightweight title. Usmonov has been a top-level amateur for a really long time. Boxed at 2 Olympic Games. A World Championship bronze medalist. In 2023, a bronze at the Asian Championships in 2022. He's been around an awfully long time. And they'll be looking for a big performance from him to round things off tonight against Pagara, who has got a very impressive looking record, but it is a pretty padded record. The last time I saw him was against Albert Batagaziev in an IBA Pro bout last year, and he got stopped in the 5th. No shame in that. Batagaziev is a very good fighter.
И нашей команде, также Ивану Козловскому. Спасибо. Спасибо большой организации IBA за такую возможность. Я очень сильно вам благодарен. Альберт Сиестро, вам спасибо, что сделали все. Умар Назарович Кремлев, спасибо вам большое. Вам низкий поклон. Я очень хотел выиграть этот бой до 6-го раунда. И вы говорили про главный бой. Я хотел попробовать. Извините, не удалось. В следующий раз я с удовольствием поучаствую. Спасибо вам огромное еще раз. Низкий вам поклон. И всем спасибо. Огромное спасибо. У меня эмоции переполняют.
Не только эмоции, оставил все силы для того, чтобы добыть желанную победу и первый титул чемпиона Европы по версии IBA Pro. Максим Черничук, наши поздравления.
Прошу прощения, еще немножко задержусь. Также огромное спасибо своей маме. Хочу выразить, она смотрит сейчас, болеет, беспокоится. Всю подготовку я ее практически не видел, 2 месяца. Мамулечка, тебе тоже низкий поклон. Спасибо большое, извините.
Вот так. Уважение к принимающей стране, уважение к своей семье, к тренеру, к организации. Бокс – это про силу и про воспитание. За это мы и любим этот вид спорта. Промоутерская компания IBA Challenge и промоутерская компания «Союз» при поддержке Федерации бокса Республики Таджикистан представляют вам главное событие международного вечера бокса «Рольф IBA Pro 6». 10 раундов чемпионского бокса за вакантный титул WBA Gold в легком весе. IBA Challenger Promotions and Soyuz Promotions, in association with Boxing Federation of Tajikistan, proudly present the Rolf IBA Pro 6 main event. 10 rounds of championship boxing for the vacant WBA Gold lightweight title. 2 warriors, 1 belt, no compromise. И сейчас приветствуйте претендентов. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me to welcome the contenders. В черный угол ринга свой путь держит боксер с Филиппин. Into the black corner of the ring, please welcome the contender from Philippines, Albert Pagara.
.35-1 Albert Pagara. It's a very, very impressive record, but it doesn't tell you an awful lot about the level that he's at, to be perfectly honest, because there's not much depth to it. There is in terms of the number of wins, but there isn't in terms of the people he's been in against. The one defeat came back in 2016. That was against Cesar Juarez by 8th round knockout in the USA. He's won an IBF Intercontinental title, a WBO Intercontinental title. So I don't mean to write that record off. It has to be compiled, and he's been a dedicated pro for a long time. But the best benchmark we got for his ability level was that fight in IBA Pro against Albert Batagaziev last October, where he was stopped in the 5th. And as I say, no shame in that. Batagaziev is a very, very good fighter.
И сейчас боксер золотого угла ринга из города Душанбе, Республики Таджикистан, and now fighting out of the Republic of Tajikistan, the city of Dushanbe, Bahadur Usmonov.
He's got a very impressive record all around, Bahadur Usmonov. You look at the caption there, a bronze medal at the World Championships in Tashkent in 2023. He's a two-time Olympian. In the qualifiers for the Paris Olympics, actually, he beat Erislandy Alvarez of Cuba, who went on to win gold at 63.5 kilos, a bronze at the Asian Championships, and he's 9-0 as a pro, 2-0 in IBA Pro. So he is on a good run of form, 27 years old.
Уважаемые гости, я прошу всех встать. В честь претендентов на титул звучат гимн Международной ассоциации бокса IBA и государственные гимны. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. In honor of the title contenders, the anthem of the International Boxing Association and national anthems will now be performed. Звучит гимн Международной ассоциации бокса IBA. Ladies and gentlemen, the anthem of the International Boxing Association. Звучит гимн Республики Филиппины, the national anthem of the Republic of Philippines. Звучит государственный гимн Республики Таджикистан. Ladies and gentlemen, the national anthem of the Republic of Tajikistan. Представляю вам официальных лиц титульного боя. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you the officials. Президент Всемирной боксерской ассоциации, the President of the World Boxing Association, Gilberto Mendoza Jr. Supervisor Всемирной боксерской ассоциации, supervising tonight's event and representing the World Boxing Association, Jesper Jensen, Denmark, Dania. Боковые судьи. Ringside judges are судья номер 1, Judge 1, Armando Garcia, Thailand. Судья номер 2, Judge 2, Дмитрий Болдырев, Russia. Судья 3, Judge 3, Семен Стакеев, Russia. Referee титульного боя. Officiating this championship contest, the third man in the ring, Pinit Prayatsap, Thailand. Timekeeper, Ниязидин Мирбабаев, врач у ринга, Юнус Шарипов. И я представляю вам соперников. Introducing the title contenders. В черном углу ринга претендент на титул из Республики Филиппины. Ему 31 год, рост 167 сантиметров, вес 60 килограммов и 50 граммов. Его обширный рекорд составляют 36 боев. 35 побед, 24 из которых одержаны досрочно при единственном поражении. Он владел титулами интерконтинентального чемпиона по версиям IBF и WBO, и вот через время и 2 весовых категории прибыл за новым поясом из Кагаяна де Оро-Сити, провинции Восточный Миссамис. In the black corner, the title challenger from the Republic of Philippines, 31 years young, standing 167 centimeters tall and weighing in at 6.5 kilograms. This warrior brings fearsome record, 36 fights, 35 victories, 24 knockouts and just 1 defeat. The former IBF and WBO Intercontinental Champion. He has now crossed the oceans and weight classes, arriving from Cagayan de Oro City, Misamis Oriental, to claim another crown. The Prince from the Philippines, Manaka Baboyenko, Alberto Pagara. Ровно по диагонали в золотом углу ринга претендент на титул из Республики Таджикистан. Ему 27 лет, его рост 174 сантиметра, вес 60 килограммов, 750 граммов. 9 раз он выходил на профессиональный ринг и 9 раз выходил победителем. При этом 4-жды отправив соперников в нокаут. На свой 10-й бой в карьере за своим первым титулом из города Душанбе. In the gold corner, the title challenger from the Republic of Tajikistan, 27 years old, standing 174 centimeters tall and weighing at 60 kilograms, 750 grams. 9 times he has entered the ring and 9 times left the ring undefeated. The 4 of those wins coming by way of knockout. Now it is his 10th bout in Korea, fighting for his first championship title from the city of Dushanbe, Mekmononi Aziz, Iftikhori, Tajikistan, Bahadur Usmonov. И с ударом гонга рефери титульного боя, the third gentleman in the ring, Pinit Prayatsap, Thailand.
So the introduction's complete. There's the tail of the taper, height and reach advantage to go with it there for Usmonov.
And protect yourself anytime. Good luck.
A touch of gloves between the two. So this is our final fight of the night. 10 rounds or fewer between Bahadur Usmonov and Albert Pagara for the WBA gold title at lightweight. Usmonov in the white, Pagara in the white and blue. Usmonov just trying to find the range with that lead hand early on. He can keep this on the outside if he so wishes. When he throws that jab, though, you do notice that right hand just strays away from the side of his head a little bit. It might be something that Pagara will notice and start to think about. If he can get inside that jab, slip that jab and throw a left hook, then that could be profitable for him. Looking for right hand over the top there, Pagara. Couldn't quite land it. Just working from the body up to the head there with the jab, Usmonov, who's been nice and busy from the beginning as we reach the midway stage of round one. Smart bit of movement there from Usmonov. He's turning around that front foot. Nice quick combination there from Usmonov, just finishing with the left hand to the body. Pagara just staying tight in this opening round, not looking to really give anything away. Hasn't been able to get too much done. And again there, just rattling off that nice loose combination. Like a lot of tall fighters, Usmonov has got that ability to keep it long, but at that mid-range he likes to dig those toes in as he does there and let his hands go. He's standing quite tall, his chin up in the air as he does it though. Pagara sinking into the ropes there. That might give him something to think about there too, because he's actually quite vulnerable as he throws those punches there, Usmonov. He just let his hands go, but he stood quite tall. That chin quite high. Might be something Pagara can do about that. That left hook that he half got through with there, Pagara, you do feel like that's something that could work for him. But that's a nice combination, left to the body and then the uppercut to finish with. And that's where he's swinging away on the ropes there. He's a little bit untidy at times, but he's completely committed to it. Pagara just trying to slip and roll and stay out of the way more than anything else. It was a good opening round there for Usmonov, one that he's won comfortably.
Round two.
Into round two. He has a boxing sat IBA Pro debut last year, Pagara. Put a little bit more weight into that combination. Led off with the right hand and then threw the left hook in off the back of it. Finishes with that left hand to the body again there, Usmonov, which is a decent shot. Pagara, he's got a very solid look to him physically. Biding his time a little bit in the early stages here, which is understandable, but he doesn't want to let Usmonov just build up a healthy lead here without really taking anything out of him. If you feel like the second half of the fight might be yours, that's fine, but you've got to have taken something out of their gas tank in the first half, or all that's happened is that they're 5-0 up at halfway, and they've still got just as much left as they did at the start of the fight, because if you box at your own pace, fighters will always tell you, if you're the one who dictates the pace, then you're comfortable. If you're punching when you want to punch, then you're comfortable. If you're under pressure, if you're having to find shots when you don't necessarily want to, then it's a lot more tiring. Just trying to pin Pagara back on the ropes there, Usmonov, and again let those hands go. Good accuracy with the combination there. Pagara, though, just letting him know that it hasn't had any real effect on him. Another good round there from Usmonov. He's won those first two pretty handily.
Seconds out. 3rd round, round 3.
So into the third, and Pagara needs to start asking some questions here, because, as I say, otherwise the fight just starts to slip away from you. It's very early, I know, to be saying that, but Usmonov has got that kind of rhythm to him, whereby he won't have expended too much energy at all in those opening 2 rounds. He could box like that for 10 rounds comfortably, I'm sure. So Pagara has got to not allow him to do that. It'll mean he'll take a few more risks, and he's starting to do it at the start of this 3rd round. He's come out a bit more aggressively. Good right hand there from Usmonov, just stepping around the target, looking to find different angles. Got that right hand in around the back of the guard, looked for it again there. And again, he's looked for that a few times in this round now. That kind of longish hook where it comes in from the angle and just snakes its way around the back of that left glove. So if you can land that round about the ear, the side of the head, that can do some damage. Pagara trying to file back off the ropes, but not with any great success. And Usmonov, I think if anything, is just upping things a little bit in this round. Looking to punch with a bit more spite into the final minute. Pagara just suggesting he was caught around the back of the head there. I'm not sure he was, but he's under fire, that's for sure. He's trying to hold on there, the Filipino, and he just got shrugged off by Usmonov, who then let his hands go again, and down he goes. And it's the accumulation of punches really there that has done for Pagara. And I wonder whether he might just be tempted to sit this out, because this is very, very difficult for him. And the referee, I think, has got to the count of 10. And he has won by knockout, Pagara Usmonov. And he did up it in that third round. He clicked through the gears a bit, started to just sit on his punches a bit more, really landed with some spike. But Pagara got trapped in that corner, and that volume landed. Down he went, and as I said, I suspected that that could well be it, because he knew what was coming for him with 7 more rounds of exactly the same. And that is a big performance and a good win for Pagara Usmonov, and it's been a good night for Tajikistan boxing. Big performance from Boxeo earlier on, a big performance from Usmonov.
Для награждения на ринг выходит президент Международной ассоциации бокса IBA. For the awarding ceremony, please welcome the president of the International Boxing Association IBA, Umar Hassanovich Kremlov.
And this, of course, was for that WBA gold belt at lightweight, so that will now be presented to him. And it's been a good night in Dushanbe, good crowd in, very enthusiastic all the way through, good mix of fights on the card. A successful night for home fighters, that always helps. And they've got a couple of people here they can really get behind. Usmonov has been on the scene for a long time. Boxeo, a big name off the back of that bronze medal at the Paris Olympics, and he won in good fashion. A heavyweight too, which always helps. So they've got some fighters here that the public can really
Все завершилось на последней секунде третьего раунда. Он сделал это нокаутом. Победителем боя и новый чемпион WBA Gold Pagara Usmonov. Ladies and gentlemen, he ended it on the last second of the third round by knockout. The winner of this bout and new WBA Gold champion, Pagara Usmonov.
And he gets that knockout on his record too. Fighters love those. Due to the count of 10 being reached.
Все, вручаю.
Well, Umar Kremlov, I think, has made him a gift of a car which will be waiting outside the arena. I've seen him do this before, back in Serpukov in Russia last year. He gave the keys to Muslim Gadjimagomedov after he won his world title, and he got straight into the car and gave it a quick drive. So that's a nice bonus there for Pagara Usmonov.
Города Душанбе, дайте аплодисментов. На ринге Pagara Usmonov с поясом чемпиона.
And he started well, he settled nice and quick, and I was saying that Pagara needed to try and do something about that. At the start of the third round, he did come out a little bit more aggressively, but then Usmonov just took that as an opportunity, I think, to find a few gaps himself. He was looking to just fling that right hand in around the back of the guard.
IBA Pro.
He did that successfully a good few times, and then he just got Pagara caught in the corner a couple of times. Pagara tried to just lean in and grab hold, but he wasn't really able to do it. And then after a while, it was just a volume of punches, an accumulation of punches really that put him down. There was that right hand that I mentioned that he just found the angle for. And that's the finish. It may well have been a body shot that finally put him down, but it was volume. And he reached that breaking point, that tipping point, and he went down to a knee, and I strongly suspected that we may well not see him rise. And that indeed was the case. And as I said, a good win for Usmonov and a good night for Tajikistan. And with that, I will leave you. Thanks very much for joining us. I hope you've enjoyed the fights. It was a good card. It was a good card. Good mix of fights, some really good finishes. And that wraps it up for IBA Pro 6. We will catch you again next time.